It's 7 o'clock, y'all. Let me take a sip for the cause. Good evening. It's Friday night, 7 p.m. This is the new norm, and I'm your boy Mo Delgado, the host. Welcome to the show. This week, how should I say? This week's been quite horrible, nationwide-wise. We've seen too many deaths take place. We saw a 13-year-old boy killed by a police officer. We saw another young man, I think he was 17 years old. I think that was his age, killed by another police officer. We have the ongoing case that we're concerned about with Derek Chauvin, who killed George Floyd. He was an officer also. Now, besides all that, truth of the matter is we've had, in the past 30 days, we've had mass shootings in Gresham, Washington, Stockton, California, Orange, Memphis, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, Cleveland, Ohio, Essex, I think it's Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Norfolk, Virginia, Virginia Beach, Virginia, Wilmington, South Carolina, Tuscaloosa, I think it's Mississippi, Yazoo City, Aliceville, Dallas, Houston, all in the Texas region. Mass shootings taking place all over the nation past 30 days. And some like to say it's 45 shootings in the past 30 days, mass shootings. And some want to say that we don't have an issue. Some like to believe that we don't have a problem. I don't know about you, but that's a lot of damn dead people, all by gun violence. And I don't know who has the audacity to think we don't have a problem. America's romance with guns has gotten to an all-time high, I think, in these days. And I think more so because now you're able to see it more. It's televised more. And because it's televised more people get to see the atrocities that happen from the hands of someone who's a gun owner. It's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. How all we continue to go, and we've allowed this to happen, and in us allowing it to happen, it's going to continue going. And it's sad to say that we're seeing more and more of this go on. But before I go on, let me send a shout out quick to my man Rick Lugo. I see DJ Sticks, the Kango hat is fire. You know how we do, man. We know how we do. This is the hat thing. Welcome to the show, y'all. Glad y'all tuned in. We're going to talk a little bit about this and a little bit about that when it comes to life itself and the things that we're facing. The truth of the matter is that we're facing a lot of stuff outside of the hardships because of this pandemic and folks having to be extra creative to try to make a living. In addition to, it's the hardships that we feel on a regular basis from either being underemployed or unemployed a lot of times. So we have to be extremely, extremely creative with financing. And we have to be very cognizant that whatever we do, it yields us the best return. And sad to say, in a lot of cases, the best return or the focus for folks to get money seems to be illegal methods and unjust methods. Shout out to Megan. You have a blessed weekend too. I'm glad to see you doing well. So let's shoot the shit. Let's talk. Let's talk real nice. America's romance with gun violence has been part of the American story from the very, very onset. When the first pilgrims came into America, the natives that were here didn't have guns. We used rudimentary weapons to do what we needed to do, which is hunt and to, as they say, farm and things like this. Didn't have guns. First ones came with the ships that came from abroad. Those are the first guns. Since then, the romance with guns has elevated. Since then, also, violence has elevated. Now, we have to be as honest as we possibly can when we're talking about guns and gun violence. They're two separate things. Not every gun yields gun violence. Sometimes guns are basically there and they're utilized as a visual tool and never shot off. And for individuals who have chosen to do so, and there's been a lot of people, honorable people who are police officers, who have worked a long tenure and never had to shoot off a weapon in the field, never had to shoot anyone in the field. And I am so thankful and grateful that they've used their best judgment not to do so, and also very grateful that they've never had to live with the burden of shooting and killing someone or shooting and maiming someone, which oftentimes lives in the shadows of the mind of the individuals who do it, whether as a police uniform or not. So I'm very pleased that of those individuals who never had to face those issues. But I'm also very adamant to believe that for those individuals that do, it's a horror that they're living with. There's no way in hell you can live with the burden of killing individuals that you know were innocent. And no matter how many times you've been told or someone has navigated around you to make up a wonderful story, a fictitious idea of why you were right in killing this individual, you know deep down in your soul you were wrong. And ultimately, karma is going to come get your ass one day or another. That's how it is. The innocent don't deserve to die. And no matter how many times you have individuals out here with bigoted eyes or perverse sense of how law and truth is, the truth of the matter is no one deserves to die for small mistakes here and there. I'm a firm believer that it's an eye for an eye. People got to do. I'm not certain, Brother Mark, what you said, but I send you greetings. I'm not certain in your statement. But as we say, moving forward, trying to see why. Oh, I know what it is. Forgive me, y'all. I'm going to have to change the settings. Every time I go live on Facebook, they try to eliminate the opportunities of sharing the comments sometimes with me here. However, it just takes a button. So it just takes a second. So, folks, for you, I'm going to make sure I send a little bit of love. Brother Mark Rassman says, would die to live. I'm not certain the statement. I believe that you'd probably come back on or reiterate that statement. But in a sense of our truths and how we're living today, gun violence and violence seem to be even more prevalent. Is it because we have more access? Is it because we have more cameras? Is it because the internet is widely available to people who have phones, cell phones, and what have you? Is it because we're paying attention more? Or is the sad truth is that it's happening more? With hardships and stresses that most people feel, how America's economy seems to be taking this roller coaster ride, some individuals don't know how to cope. So they choose stress or coping mechanisms. How often have we heard of individuals who've had firearms, who've had too much to drink, or having some other substance in their body that interfere or intervene in a conscious thought process? And how many times have we heard individuals with a bitter hatred behind a gun? I'm not going to say the hatred is owned by one soul class, but people, human beings. Okay. I appreciate your reiteration. I want to make sure I put it up there properly so people can see it. I like the statement. Brother Rasmus says, living is a freedom that we all haven't been afforded. Life is the gift that we all have been given from God Almighty. It is truly a gift, and some of us don't appreciate it being a gift in each other's lives. So we tend to intervene, we tend to negate, and we tend to eliminate or eradicate that gift on this earth. We take a life. Initially, I put a post up when identifying tonight's show is outside of your family, what would you die for? What would you die for? Honestly, most of us are God-fearing individuals who love our family, and we have an innate want to always come out and regurgitate We would die for our children. We would die for our loved ones. Okay, I respect that. But I want you to think deeply. I want you to think further into your recesses of your mind and your heart and your soul. What would you die for outside of that? What would you jump in a line of fire to protect? Something that we honestly have to think about at times. Because there's an aggravated world, such a violent sense of being as we all live. Some of us will freely say, I will kill if something happens to so-and-so. I will kill this person if they try to step up and trespass against me. That's the aggressor. But the valiant one that stands in between the bullet, the peacemaker, what is he going to stand in front of? Or what is she going to stand in front of? Are we that individual? Because a lot of us talk a big yin yang, a big game. Oh, we're so tough. Oh my God, we get aggravated seeing TV. I wish I would see that racist somebody something. And if a person was to come out a gun, this is what I would do. This is what I would do. We all have, with alcohol, without alcohol, we all have some bravery in us from afar. But if we're facing a loaded weapon, the barrel of a loaded weapon, the true essence of the human being comes out. Is fear going to come out in you? You're a human being. I would imagine it would be. I'd be scared. But then the bravery that comes from within you, what and where does it come from? What will drive you to jump in a line of fire to protect the life of something else, someone else, or to protect the inertia that goes forward? Oh man, it's appreciation. I see Nan's up in the house. Carol Baldwin. This is my sister. And I say this my sister because we grew up together. So greatly appreciate how you're doing. And I love you too. God bless you. I wish you well. I hope you recover. I think you've had some temporary misfortune that you got going on with your legs or something. I thought I saw that. I send you my love always. God bless you and take care of yourself. Now back to what I was saying before. In the age of gun violence, this is basically what it is. Gun violence, we're no longer in the age of booty music and trap and all that stuff. It's not as prevalent as it is as we see violence today. People, guns and gun violence and mass murders and atrocities and people standing up for the rights that they think are being trespassed. We're seeing court cases left and right where people are judging whether someone was wrong or right or someone should die or they live. There's lots of judgment going on today. There's a lot going on throughout America. And these are things that we have to consider all the way around in the place that we take. Because each and one of us, no matter how far we are, we play a part in this. We're part of society. And if we're not able to make a change directly, then indirectly we should be able to affect change, right? If we feel change is necessary. Brother Rasmus, again, to live means the life God has given to exist. I'm responsible to be my brother's keeper. I'm responsible for taking care of the widow and orphan. I'm required to clothe the naked, house homeless, feed the hungry. Well said, Pastor. It's a beautiful statement. I wish all of us lived it. Some of us true blue, and I trust you are also. Some of us just talk a big game. Sister Ray, good to see you. Hopefully everybody's well down there. Hope you're matriculating your fan base down in the new radio station. She says, I've literally been in the kind of situation when a Southern cop went to pull a gun on my father. And I intervened by pulling out my phone and letting him know that he was being recorded. Damn. I too, in my past as a youth, saw the gun barrel of an officer's gun. A mistaken identity, I was told. Walking at night, angrily, I was walking because I was facing a disposition that I didn't want to face, but I was walking by myself, not being violent, not being arduous, nothing. I just fit the description. And out comes a van with a bunch of officers in plain clothes and so on and so forth, and out comes all the kinds of verbiage, get the fuck down, stop, whatever. Not seeing any badges or nothing, here comes the gun. They pull it to my face. I saw that. I felt that. One time, years before, it was a young guy seemed to walk up behind me asking me what time it was. I'm sitting out front of the place where I was living, waiting for my friends to come out because we're supposed to go out and have a good time. Guy asked what time it was, seemed to have the watch, saw on my arm, which was nothing but a citizen watch. It was nothing. You can pick it up for $30. But I guess it looked like it was something he had to have. So out comes a gun. So he puts it to my face and says, yo, run your pockets. I was raised in the hood. I was raised to never back down. I was scared, but I grabbed that damn gun. I punched him in the face. I pushed him, got into a fight. Nothing. The barrel didn't go off, but he got up and ran. No one was shot. That's the second time. Well, actually, the first time that I had a gun in front of my face, but I didn't think of death. I just thought immediately I have to protect myself. So let's think about these individuals who are facing guns and immediately they don't think they have to protect themselves. They don't think because they're not taught. They're not protected. They're not given the necessary information for them to make immediate judgments, to not move quickly, to not make any brash statements, not coming out your mouth and saying something argumentative or coming overly aggressive to a hyper-aggressive officer anyway, or to an individual. It doesn't even have to be an officer, because let's get real. In the neighborhoods that we come from, we seem to love to kill one another left and right. And it's not right. Brother Rassman, I intend to keep living as long as my Creator keeps me, and I wish you the same. Keep being an example of a good man, brother, and I love you. Take care of yourself. Sister Ray said, he went to lock me up, and my automatic instinct was to run away. It is God that I'm not dead. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're facing more and more adversity at the highest levels now of government, because we're seeing it on TV consistently. The conservative Americans of America who hide behind a Confederate flag, hide sometimes behind the Bible, and hide sometimes in high offices behind fancy suits, are getting nervous. A lot of them, white Americans, older privileged white Americans, in their nervousness are looking to do what they can do to ensure that they still keep in power. Supremacy is something that's extremely important to them. Not equality, not equity, not inclusion. They want to make sure they get theirs no matter what. And whatever crumbs fall off the table, y'all fight for. That's the America that lives behind the scenes. It's not the America that I love. It's not the America that I represent. It's not the human element that I know exists here in our borders, in our wonderful borders of the United States of America. However, until we face the absolute truth that hatred still lives in too many of us, we won't ever prosper. We won't ever move to meet the potential that we know we have. Trump at one time was wearing this mantra, make America great again. And that was the debate. Is America great? When was America great? How do we make it great again? Well, I say this and digress. The greatness is in you and I. And if we digress as human beings and been less great, then America is subject to what we do or not. Our inactivity in the world shows. Instead of standing in opposition to unjust practices, we sit by idly, quietly, chattering to the side. Yo, did you see this? Yo, did you see that? Yo, did you read that? Yo, the press said this. But we're never brave enough to stand up against these atrocities. Never do we look for opportunities to add our voices to the voices that already come together in Congress to speak for the betterment of all. We don't do it. We've been, as Americans of color, beat into a disposition where we're scared to speak up for our rights. We're always looking for Superman to fly in because comic books told us that it's what it is. Because religion has always said that's how it is. Believe in one man and he will solve everything for you. We have to be honest. Our truth falls in our hands. Our existence relies on what we do with these hands. How we get along as a universal family depends on how we enact the love that we have for ourselves and each other? How do we impact one another without hurting one? I was raised, if you're going to do anything in life, do it. Just don't do harm to another. Don't do harm. Now, the COVID-19 crisis is hitting all over the world. And you're hearing so much about the economy falling apart, so and so. These are the predatory minds of individuals who don't care about lives as much as they do about finance and income and potential debt. Tell that to the people who have had to bury their family members. See if you have the audacity to talk about income and redlining and bottom imaging and financing and banking and loans. Talk to them about that. When you're recruiting for a party, you talking about let's have a good time and we're about to get it in. We're at the skating rink. We're at the movie theater. We're at the club. Everybody's about to do this and do that. Think about the people who no longer can. Think about those we've had to bury. See how much of a good time you have. We got to be more responsible, y'all. We've got to be more responsible. I got to add a couple more things that Brother Rasmus said because there's a lot of wisdom in that. I appreciate Brother Rasmus for his disposition, his position, his wisdom, and how he executes it upon others. I really appreciate it. Remember, it's the message and not the messenger, because some people like to just look at him. He's a carrier of the message like myself. We just carry the message. He chooses to do it in his way, and I do it like I do it, but either which way, we have the goodness in our heart, and we're trying to share with others. He says, as a former officer, when I stopped, and I immediately placed both hands on the steering wheel, I rolled down all my windows, I turned on the interior lights, and I obeyed whatever commands the executing officer asked of me. He was trained to do so. Some of us may not understand that that's necessary. Even in the situation where we just saw Lieutenant Carrion Navarro, he was adamantly putting his hands up and what have you, very soft-spoken, in a situation where he's wearing his uniform in Virginia, in an area that's heavily militarized, right? In a vehicle that may not necessarily show his license plate visually there, but once you got up on it, you saw it in the window. You saw this man and he's asking in dispositions, knowing the rules as a police officer, Mr. Gutierrez. In Virginia, if he has a registered vehicle and is registered to a military base, you have no authority for him. You're supposed to call the MPs or the United States, whoever the dispatch is for that time for military police, to say that you have a disposition where you need someone on site who's military to handle that issue. You didn't do that because your ego got in the way. You looked at him solely because of his complexion and how he wasn't looking at you in a submissive way. That happens too often. We have individuals and they get bloated up when they put on a uniform. They get bloated up knowing that they have a weapon on their side. Oh my God, incredibly blown up. Then they're taught to escalate every situation. When every situation a person raises their voice, they're taught to raise it up even higher. Get aggressive if need to. Lay your hands on them if you need to. Some were training. Some officers even here training others how to use their hands and weaponize their hands to beat someone else within an inch of their lives. I don't know, y'all. Shit's fucked up. We got it messed up, y'all. Chicago is mourning right now because a 13-year-old boy shot and killed. I'm not his judge. I'm not the judge of the officer. But the disposition around that whole situation saddens me. 13-year-old boy feeling like he has to run from police officers. In a hardened situation, Chicago's not an easy place. That sure as hell ain't Oz and Wonderland. Whatever the situation was, for him to run and then put his hands up, you saw it clearly. And that's the situation that officers sometimes have to make. A split decision action. He thought he had a weapon. And so he figured he has to shoot first to protect himself. Not thinking, 13-year-old person, you have been trained continuously in using a weapon and avoiding being shot. Having heavy equipment on you, having Kevlar on you, having body cameras on you, having other officers to the side of you, but your immediate response is, I need to pull the trigger to defend myself. 13-year-old boy. I don't know if he had the gun. The gun, they said, was right on the side. I don't know if it was stashed, because we've seen that too. But I know one thing. He's 13 years old and he's dead. Family now has to bury their child, and a community mourns. Dante Wright. Seeing the video, see some actions that you see clearly shouldn't have happened, both in the officer's situation and Dante. Whatever the preface was, because I love how the Uber patriots want to say, oh no, it was a warrant because of this and so forth, and they want to demonize. And that's the essence of white supremacy through policing also. They love to demonize and criminalize their targets always to justify heightening their actions and their violence towards this human being. Now, again, I say not all officers, because there's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of wonderful ones. However, if they don't step up and speak on behalf of what's right and defend those that it's right, then you're complicit. You're part of the problem. And I can't speak anymore for you. You're going to have to defend yourself. But if you're right, you're right. And the community knows you're right. And we'll step in. We've shown it over and over again. We take care of ours. And for people in an authority situation, in a place of authority in law enforcement, that helps to be an asset and not a hindrance, to be a member and not just an officer on the outside, to live and dwell in that community, not just extracting a high paycheck and leaving it, speaking ill of those that live in it. Those are the individuals that we gravitate to. Those are the individuals that are exemplary, that we see videos of all the time. I don't think there was in St. Louis. I think in St. Louis, Missouri, there's this young officer, Caucasian, who shows videos consistently. He plays a lot with the kids. He's racing them back and forth, playing basketball, coming back on sneakers. That man is a hero. And what I mean is, instead of killing, he's helping to build. Instead of getting into the mindset and criminalizing that community, he's trying to be an asset, trying to fill in where there may not be a man or someone of reason. And he's trying to do both, being friendly, being kind and considerate. I love seeing those videos, man. Or I've seen an officer who comes in and goes into a heightened situation and makes it a whole lot less just by a couple words. Then the end of the altercation ends with a handshake or a hug. That's exemplary. Those are the ones that are always put up at a high pillar, placed on that mantle, so we can look directly at them and stop staring at the ones who don't do that. So we can avoid facing the unjust. I don't know. I don't have any solutions, y'all. And I've got lots of tears. I have a young son who just turned 18. And since he was, say, 13 years old, I've been fearful that he goes out into the world and becomes a victim. I've been very fearful, even in my city, because the crime in our city exists. It doesn't even come close to what we see in other cities. Doesn't even come close, but it still exists. The animosity between the police and the community still exists. One time it was much higher. These days, it's not so much, but it's still there. So as my son goes out every day to school, and so I'm always praying, just watch over him and his friends. Let nothing happen to him or his friends or anyone around. It's the thing that breaks my heart continuously when I hear of a young person dying at the hands of another, let alone those who are dying by their own hands. And that's another tragedy that we got to deal with. We got to face it. Drug abuse, opioid abuse, suicide. We're not loving life. We're not living life. We're emulating what we see on TV, but not actually living. How many times we walk down the street and we see someone and we avoid saying hello because the ego says, well, I ain't going to open my mouth. They ain't saying shit to me, so fuck them. I ain't going to say nothing to them either. Who they think they are? Better than me? But you know, we've been taught to be better is to do better. So maybe if we open our mouths and say, what's up? How you doing? Maybe in those few words, it's just enough to break that person's mindset. Could have been in a downward spiral. Could be thinking to be homicidal or suicidal. Could be thinking to do some harm, not only to themselves, but others. But at that point in time, those few words could have broken him or her from that track. You may have saved his life and the lives of others. Or you may have just showed him that it was okay to say hi, that you exist. I acknowledge you. You are alive. You're existing, and I see you, and I acknowledge you, and I honor you by greeting you. Hello, how you doing? That's what we do when we greet one another, acknowledging one another. We allow ego to get involved in too much of the shit. And sometimes our ego is misplaced because we're so proud in thinking we're exactly right in everything that we're doing. We're so right. So right. You know how they say birds of feather flock together? Oh, when you're complaining about shit, you can find 10, 20 people easily to help you complain because we are creatures in nature that way. Birds of a feather flock together. But when it comes to doing good, I think it's equally attractive. I used to say to my man Anthony back in the day when we were all together as a family, watch what we do. The good that we do is going to want to attract people. And the people who are fighting doing good is going to break down and you're going to see them do good with us or on their own. Watch. Said it. And from afar, he's looked and seen it throughout the years, seen it. Help execute it in others. They've changed their ways to do things and to be a part of something. Because they want to do good. 45 mass shootings in 30 days, y'all. 45. We got to do something about it. We got to stand up about it. We got to do something. Last night, I stumbled onto a movie that I haven't seen in a long time that I basically was apropos. It was perfect for the situation, for the time frame, the meaning it all, and then the messenger himself, Spike Lee. The movie was called Chirac. It was a melodic movie with a lot of wonderful celebrities who were masterful actors acting in a framework that was telling a story. Some people in opposition thought the story was making fun of Chicago or making light of Chicago or demonizing or dehumanizing some instances in Chicago. And if you look at it, Chicago was just a placement of a story he developed that we know too far. But the solutions were women giving up their access to their genitals, giving up their access, giving it up, locking it down so men couldn't get it. That was something that we saw was also an example of an attempt for women to find peace in their community in Liberia. Women have always been the solutions. They raise us. They make us. We've learned our game from our women, our name from women. We've learned everything from our women. And even today, our men, we're fucking up. We don't seem to be being the men that we were raised to be. So I guess it's going to take another woman to come in and show us what we need to do to find peace again in our communities. That big mama that lives up the street, who's yelling down the street and just makes a look at you, that makes things happen and gains respect because she's been the backbone in that community, exists. Celebrate Big Mama. Give her some love. Listen to what she says. Stop talking shit about her. That auntie who's always checking up on you, she's there to help you. She celebrates you. She's in your ear because she cares. People up the block, neighbors, the sisters who are just asking you how you doing, how's school, it's because they care. If they didn't care, they'd be inside tending to theirs, and you'd be left with no one to talk to. So, young folks, accept the love, accept the concern, accept the ongoing interactions from your elders. You're going to find lots of solutions in their words. You're going to find lots of solutions and clarity in their wisdom. Accept it. Take it in. It's a gift. It's something that we've gotten when we were young, and something that now you're getting as you're young. It's a cycle. It's wisdom. It's how families are. It's how tribes exist and always existed. We come from a community. And in the essence of the word community is unity. It's going to take the woman or our women to help execute the unity that we're missing, because us guys, we just don't got it. So we have to be the strength that they need to execute the plan. We have to definitively have to give the support that they've been needing and deserving so they can execute the plan. We have to be part of the solution and not be part of the problem. Fellas, we got to do better because we know better, because our community deserves better. I'd like to get off my soapbox for now, but I sat down a few minutes shy of 7 and looking at a TV screen emblazoned with latest news, and all I hear is death. All I see is sadness, reports of death, deceit, court cases left and right, conversations with my wife the late hour. Did you hear about FedEx? 9-10 people dying, including the shooter. I heard about it. Did you hear about the young boy, 13 years old, in Chicago? I heard about it. Did you hear about the shootout that took place in Philly? Which one? I heard about it. Did you hear about the 65-year-old person who got hit by a motor vehicle here, crossing Route 30 the other day, who may not have survived? Sadly enough, I heard about it. I'm tired of hearing about it. It's weighing on my heart. It's weighing on us because most of us don't seem to care. We're so wrapped up in the negativity that we see. We're so wrapped up in the hardships that we have to face. We're so lost in the vitriol words that we tend to choose when we communicate to one another, that we haven't had any room for compassion. We've not left enough room for jovial laughter, being silly, them stupid little jokes that are corny as hell, but are just enough to make you chuckle. Just a little earlier, my wife reminded me of one of her favorite corny jokes. She said, "What did one tissue say to the other?" What? You need to put a little boogie in it. Just the corny jokes like that help break the monotony of stress. Helps break the clouds and allow some of the sunshine to come in. It's the innocence that lives in us all. It's the small things that sometimes we need, that we forget, that sometimes we deny. That'll help us get through. It's okay to be corny. It's okay to be stale. But do it because you think you deserve a little sunshine and everyone else around you deserves a little sunshine. It's extremely important because these dark days have gotten darker for so many people. Homelessness seems to be inevitable for a lot of people. A lot of people. When the economy flips over and the pandemic is not as much of an issue, when they lift the restrictions for people to be kicked out of their homes and for terminations and contracts to be executed, that's going to be a burden that we're going to all have to carry. When people who are one time happy, jovial business owners who own multiple pieces of property who will have to sell their property or lose their properties because they couldn't afford to maintain them. And now their dreams of wealth and living high off the land dissipate. They're going to carry a burden also. So all of us carrying a burden and not any of us being strong or strong enough. So we have to look and find the strength somewhere, somehow. Whether it's in the house of worship, whether it's in the arms of a loved one, or the smile of a child, or the interaction with an innocent pet. Y'all seen Patch. Y'all heard Patch. This little pain in the ass in my home. Sometimes just being by my side, just looking at me, it's just enough break from the monotony and the stresses that I carry when I can't find others. My wife is asleep from working so hard under duress and hard situations. Or my son is asleep pondering on what his next move is, having to adjust because times have changed and his atmosphere seems to be getting smaller and smaller. His friends seem to be dissipating. Access to friends and activities of fun seem to be dissipating. And more stresses are on him now that he's 18 and about to graduate high school. As he sleeps, I'm awake. And so my dog, he's my source sometimes, just to break the monotony. I got over 2,000 channels of TV, but I seem to watch 2. YouTube and CNN. Well, sometimes Disney, especially Friday nights, like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like after the show, I'm watching it update. You know, I'm a Marvel fan, so but YouTube and CNN because I have to be aware of what's going on, and that's my chosen destination that's readily available. However, I'd rather go on the internet and go to Reuters, go to BBC World, Al Jazeera, ABC News, all those different factors online and gather as much information worldwide. And locally, how deprived we are of real information, how deprived we are of non-biased, real information. But I try to gather it. So I watch YouTube. You know what I watch on YouTube? Cooking shows. Odd situations all over the world. I watch animals sometimes. Interaction. Some of the cutest animals do the cutest things. Those type of videos. Or, as you guys have seen in Facebook when I show on my story, I'll share something from TikTok. It's been a source of a lot of laughter, a lot of pride at times. And I'm really thankful that those small little tools have been made available for me to cope sometimes when there's no one else around. The reality is some of us don't have those things or have yet to find those things, to find the same solace that I have. So sometimes they look in places they shouldn't, whether it's a pill, whether it's something they smoke or eat, whether they inject it through their veins. They're looking for some break, some solace, something to help keep the edge off. Because in our lives, with all the shit that's going on, all of us are living on the edge. So as history suggests, and some of the great prophets in the past, Africa Bambaataa says, don't push me because I'm living too close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. I was wisdom. Grandmaster Flash in the Furious 5. That's what Africa Bambaataa. White lines. So, but it is 7:45 at 7:45 p.m. Friday evening. This is the New Norm 2.0 with Mo Delgado. Thank you for tuning in if you're watching. For those of you who are not watching, and not watching it live and choose to look at it at our either on our page in Facebook at thenewnorm.com or Facebook, it's The New Norm, and you can see it through my page. It's a group page, and or on YouTube. The New Norm 2.0 with Mo Delgado. I'm able to be found there as well. In addition to, I'd like to say always, there's a website that was brilliantly created by my brother Adrian, Adrian Huggins, and he's created it through the kindness of his heart for the show. And the Adrian, I just spoke him up too. Look at him. He created the show, and the show, I'm sorry, the website. And the website is www.thenewnorm.club.club. All right, let's see. Trying to get the link. So if you're interested in coming on, just let us know, and we can either send you the link, or if you can follow the link here, please do so. It's extremely important that we are all know that the way the situation is as far as this getting on the show, it's an encrypted connection. So if you've gotten on before and you try to just go by the link that is afforded on the chat room on Facebook, you might find a problem because it's encrypted, and the way it's set up, you just probably won't be able to get on. So if you're interested, please let us know. If you want to come on, let us know. We can send you a link either through Facebook or through email. Just let us know one way or the other. We greatly appreciate the intent, the content, and we enjoy your conversation if need be. All right. And speaking of the man, I'm welcoming my brother Adrian. Welcome to the show, man. What's up, brother?
What's up? What's up?
How are
what's
you?
going on, my brother? Not
How
bad, not bad. Good evening to all.
How was your week, man? How you been?
Hey, it's beautiful, man. Beautiful. Yourself? You know, I see you have a lot to celebrate. Your son and the whole 9 yards. His birthday and being accepted to college and stuff. You know,
yeah,
it's a monumental achievement. Yeah.
Yes, it is, man. I'm extremely excited that my son got accepted to VSU, Virginia State University, and HBCU. I found out after the fact that it was an HBCU. And I was really enamored by that whole concept because we're about honor and respect and dedication, and HBCUs exemplify. So I think it's just like one of those type of things, God is in the way intervening. So nudged him over. So hopefully he'll decide where he wants to go. Ultimately it's his, but if he goes to VSU, it's easy. It's easier for us, I guess, to digest. It ain't easy to pay. I'll be selling ice cups in a minute to try to raise funds.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes, bro. Whatever it takes.
I told my wife if I have to go dig in the closets for some of my dancing uniforms, then I'll do that. Whatever it takes to get my son educated, I'm gonna get it done. As long as it's legal and as long as it's right. Yeah.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Some people have done a lot worse, to do things, man. So your heart's got to be in it.
Absolutely,
that's where it first starts. Your heart's got to be in it.
Absolutely, man. So how was your week, man? How's your week been?
Beautiful, man. I'm telling you, God is good all the time.
Amen.
All the time.
Yo,
I hear you talking about Grandmaster Flash and White Lines. What's up with that?
Oh man, the reference. Yeah, it was just one of those type of things that just made sense at the time. It was perfect because of the adage that it basically says, "Don't push me because I'm close to the edge." And now with the situation, so many people on the edge, man, you see it, man. You see it all the time.
Yeah, I told my girl that earlier today. I says everybody's at a breaking point right about now. You're dealing with the pandemic. You're dealing with people who don't want to get vaccinated. People do want to get vaccinated. People don't want to wear masks. People want to wear. There's so much confusion. It's like unreal. Mm-hmm. Then you have the people who are panicking from Johnson & Johnson that's getting the vaccine, and they're like, "Oh crap, I took this shit." You know what I'm saying?
Wait. That was the vaccine that you took, Johnson & Johnson?
No. I had a Pfizer.
Oh, okay, I thought you said the Pfizer. Okay.
No.
Okay.
Johnson & Johnson is one and done, and I ain't ready to quit yet.
One and done. When I heard that, all I kept thinking was, "Wow, man." Because there's so much discussion, and Johnson & Johnson was coming up out of nowhere like a race, and everybody's like, "Oh, this is the one-shot deal. Johnson & Johnson's this way. You don't have to worry about the refrigeration as much." Ooh, excuse me. Trying to make it sound like it was this wonderful situation, and all of a sudden, dun issue.
Yeah.
Then we find out. Did you hear that it was one of the key vaccines that were getting supported here in Atlantic City? Like the administration were trying to encourage people to get the vaccine, this
Yeah.
exact vaccine, or I'm going to say that strain, but the company name, Johnson and Johnson, here in Atlantic City. And they kept saying Ohio and Atlantic Avenue, which, if you look at it, it's the emergency room of Atlantic Care. So I don't know if they're in tandem of that, or was on the street, or was it another function, maybe a vehicle. Sometimes there's roving mobile vehicles that do stuff like that. But I was bugging when I heard that. I said, "Oh God!" I said, "Can you imagine the fear?"
Yeah, but they're giving it to a lot of people who are also homeless. To a lot of homeless people, like up North Jersey and stuff like that. I heard that they ordered a crap load of it because they're like under the impression that they won't see these people around for the second time, for the second shot. So they said, like, what if you could actually give them just one shot and call it a day? That would be it. So that'd be fantastic, and that's what they were looking at. But they never saw this coming.
See, I never knew that was the presence. I mean, in essence, I can hear you. I see what they're trying to say is that they might not see it. But I was just watching, I think it was Dr. Fauci or Dr. Gupta was talking about how the vaccines were, and they were basically saying, if you're vaccinated with the first one usually is what your bodily it adjusts to the first one, the first dose, right? And in doing so, it actually protects you. So if by chance you get the second one, you can still find some relief, some solace to understanding that you still be protected. Just maybe not to the degree of the second shot, but you're still covered with the first shot. So that's deep. That's deep.
The second one is the booster shot. That's to boost your immune system.
Right. But when I saw that stuff, I was like, oh God. And you see in the other nations, I think Denmark says, hold up, nope, no more. Denmark was one of the first ones that tried to block it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Johnson was didn't it come from Denmark? Wasn't the manufacturers in Denmark?
No, I think that's a German-built company, Johnson and Johnson, because they also has like the AstraZeneca one out there floating around. But based on what I've heard, they're being manufactured pretty much under the same company that's manufacturing Johnson and Johnson. But in Europe, there was like 134 people with the blood clot. Over in the States here, they say it's only 6 and 1 died. Well, that's one is one too many. Still, yeah. And one is one too many.
Did you see that even AstraZeneca is having some issues?
Yeah, I know.
Yep. I said, wow. I said, I don't know if it's, I don't know what the situation is, but the more and more we go on, I can imagine you're going to see some more issues here and there, because it was just so much emphasis to get it out quickly, and they were like trying to push it, and they didn't get a chance to really test it out. So
it was money. It was the first one to the races, Mo. Everybody wants to be the first dog out of the gate, and that's just the way it was. And as soon as they saw Pfizer was the first dog out of the gate, automatically you saw Moderna, and right after Moderna, you said Johnson & Johnson, and everything is for emergency use authorization. Big difference, because these things are for emergency uses only. Yep. So so it boils down to the point: who are you going to really sue if you really get sick and die? It's like an at-will type deal.
Yep.
It's an independent decision. That's what I said. Some people, are like stone advocates for it. Some people are stone advocates against it. It's an independent decision, because if you're going to go, you're going to go. We all know that, but it's up to you. It's up to you, really. If you take something and it kills you, like, well, I know I was taking it and I died from it, but it's an independent decision. You can't make that for someone else.
And that's what we've been talking about forever. We want to make sure that everybody's as informed as we can help, and for everyone to make an educated decision, an informed decision. Yep, conscious. Yep. Yeah. And it still exists, man. I think we're still going, because some people are so adamant. You know what I mean? They want to believe it. You know what I mean? And I think that's all of us. That's the human aspect that all of us into. We want to believe that it's going to help save us, because we want to be safe. We all want to be safe, and I don't blame anyone for wanting to be safe. I just hate that we've gone through so much hardship in the past and so much treason that we can't trust the system, and then we find some breaks in between that bring like the aha moments, like, I told you, watch out, and it's a shame, because we shouldn't have to be on it.
Yeah. The system is broken. I mean, imagine the system is over 400 years old. Go figure that. You know, every law is law based on precedence.
Mhm.
You know, then you have bylaws. You know, and going all the way on down. It's a broken system. Let's face it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know,
And the
and a
fact that
judge told me that. Huh?
I said, and the fact that there's systems within systems, they're ecosystems.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're ecosystems.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned it
You know,
before. Go ahead. You got there's a digital delay. We're still having that same issue.
yeah.
Sound like we gotta
Right, I
take it.
know.
It sound like we got a trip to take to India to try to find out the
I
cousin.
feel like I feel like those boys from Elon Musk heading up into space every now and then. You know, I'm looking at the screen and it keep freezing up. You know, it's
It
like
might
NASA.
be
Can you hear me down here?
it might be Elon Musk. It might be something else. It might be Verizon trying to block all the contests. Be like, no, until you take us out, you can't have anything. You know, it's Google. Google doing it. Conspiracy.
I heard Elon Musk, you know, was promoting. He tweeted about some dog coins on the stock, and everybody started buying dog coins. You know,
Hmm.
I'm like, what's that all about? You know, the system is broken. Let's face it. It's been hacked.
Just talking about Dogecoin. Did you see the big move? It was like the introduction or the reintroduction of the company. I think it was called Cage Coin. I think it was Cage Coin. They just implemented all of a sudden, and they're highlighting. I hear more of it because I heard Nas, the rapper, and Snoop Dogg jumped in a year ago and made a small investment, and now that doubled and tripled. Like the owner of the company who launched it last year, who started now this year with this new introduction, apparently made some in excess. He's down the new the trillionaire. He's beyond a billionaire. He's made so much money now just based off of that. I'm like, God, there's a lot of emphasis on cryptocurrency these days. I'm like, wow, it's amazing.
They're looking for another niche on how to manipulate the market. That's what those guys have already done. You know, I think they manipulated the market with GameStop. I think that was a practice run. You know, because
Yeah,
there's going to be more like it on the pike. You know, that was a practice run.
absolutely. Because after that was what Dogecoin, like you talked about before. And then I saw
Yeah.
then as brother Tyler had came in. I'm trying to remember exactly the framework that he was talking about. There was a couple other ones that were like creeping in the background. Ethereum, I think was the one he was talking about. Ethereum
Yeah.
is growing. It's growing. I just saw a advertisement for a device that you can put in your window that says that it says this is how they promote it. You can make $200 a day, every 24 hours just by having it. You don't have to do nothing. It does on its own because it's part of this whole chain bank thing. This chain linking the way it is with cryptocurrency. And I'm like, yo, I need to buy like two or three, $200 a day. That's good money. Doing nothing.
I'm very suspect when it comes to throwing my money in any group form.
Of
I'm
course,
very suspect. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sus-
I won't
I'm
get
su-
down with the group thing. I'm a lawyer. I write alone. You know what I'm saying?
I'm suspect to the bank, bro. I will ride it to the bank. I'm gonna look into it some more.
You're like the opposite of me. You're right into the bank. I'm like, I won't put the brakes on this and watch it see how it's going to unfold. You know what I'm saying?
And let me tell you, if I'm successful with it and able to get my son's tuition out of it, then I've won. That's how I'm looking. I'm like,
You're like on
it'll be
the edge,
kind
then, Mo. You're on the edge. Everything that comes down the pike, you're on the edge, man. You're like, I got to get on board.
something, man. I keep saying, I said, listen, this could be the thing because you know what? It's just like a bull market. You don't know what's going to come. You got to be aggressive with it. Got to pay attention. You never know. It rises and falls. There's nothing certain. One day you'll see it, and there's so many elevated levels, and then the next day it drops. And so when that margin call comes in, or people calling for their money, and you don't got it, or what you gonna tell them? Oh, I didn't know.
You said it drops. It don't drop. It falls off a freaking cliff.
Hell yeah,
Because when it shoot up like 40%, and it falls, off a cliff, a sharp cliff, and you have nothing but jagged rocks on the bottom.
I saw one. I think it was. I'm trying to remember the name of it. And these are really odd names, so I don't remember them. But I saw the reports of one recently, how it was a reintroduction being made, and it's based off of the company. I think it's called Cage Coin, and I think that's the market of the like you have Nasdaq and you got the S&P.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I think they're trying to create a market for Bitcoin or for currency, and this market is being introduced this way. And this company, who was supposed to be supportive of it, was introduced at a little level, and then people, and it seemed like a high investment. I think it was 1,000 shares in the beginning that you can buy in bulk, and then all of a sudden the value plummeted. And two people that I know specifically, so they were trying to dump it in 3-4 days after the fact, couldn't find some place to dump it or nothing like that. Then we're mad as hell because like the following week it shot up like 4 times the amount. And it's like, see, that's the kind of stuff that
it's called market manipulation. That's what they're doing. That's what I mentioned to you. It's market manipulation. They're figuring a way how to manipulate the market, and they're doing a damn good job.
Mm-hmm. And you notice how quick it does, how drastic. Like if you're watching regular stock markets, you'll see some shoots up. You'll see an increase. You see a spike. The spike isn't like lunacy. It isn't crazy. It won't shoot up like 400 million points in one day. But Bitcoin and cryptocurrency does. All of a sudden it shoots up this phenomenal rate, and the next day twice the amount, it shoots up in the opposite way. I'm like, yo, that's like bipolar. This whole market is bipolar. I'm like, it's crazy. But if you can, I guess if you can hang, you can hang. But it's the future. Cryptocurrency, e-commerce.
Like they say, if you got the dough, you can roll. You know what I'm saying?
Ah, yes. You got
the dough, you can roll. That's it. You need that dough, bro.
Another classic. You got the dough, you can roll.
If you got the dough, you can roll. You know.
That's it, man. But I'm just watching what little I can in between all the shootings and Chauvin case and the whole nine. I was looking just recently. Did you see that Mars on the Mars rover? And I think it's the X-1 rover. I think it's Elon Musk. It's the helicopter. They launched a helicopter on Mars. I'm like, damn, they can do that, but they still can't fix the internet here.
Think about it, because, like I said, there was a situation in New York. I think it was a shooting water, and they came out with the new technology, which is a robotic dog. And this robotic dog was walking right next to the cops, and the people were being spooked by it. Like, what the hell is that? It's a mechanical dog. Is what they're actually using now in New York.
I saw that.
They're like, look, they got to come up with mechanical dogs now, to sniff things out and all this kind of bomb. It's crazy. We're living in the future.
You know what? I seen that same dog when Boston University. I think some students at Boston University had launched it some 2-3 years ago. I saw it then, and I was like, okay, cool. They're making it flip all of a sudden. Now it's a part of the patrol. It's scary as hell. It looks scary. It looks like
it's scary as hell. It's
walking up with you. Because it walks like it walks like it's a bug. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It walks like a freaking bug, like a giant bug.
And
it comes up like a wave, and it walks like a bug.
All it needs to have is the mantis hooks, and you done. That's all. It'll be the invention of the giant mantis.
It takes a lot to scare New Yorkers, but they were fearful like hell when they saw this.
It was something different. It was different.
Like, is this what they're taking our tax dollars and doing now?
That was it. Next time, give it about a week, you'll see some graffiti on it. You'll see the dog walking, hauling.
They'll either kidnap it or short circuit it by hacking it. You know what I'm saying?
Somebody riding it.
Exactly.
I can see that somebody hijacking and riding it down Broadway. That should be hilarious.
That thing is crazy looking, man. I'm telling you, they got it in blue. I'm like, wow.
I was bugging when I saw it. I said, yo, that's some shit that'll stop you immediately.
Sci-fi crap,
Big time. Renee's on the line. Hi, Renee. I hope you're doing well. Renee Brown. That's my girl. She's good people.
Yeah, she's a good lady.
Yeah. Sending out a. Go ahead, bro.
Another thing also, because remember that lieutenant that was in the army that those cops actually sprayed the mace in his face, when he was in his vehicle trying to get him out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, lo and behold, I just come to find out. Guess who this guy is related to?
Uh-oh. Who? Nazario?
Eric Garner. You remember Eric Garner, the guy who
I
actually in New
heard
York? That's
my
his
my
cousin.
my wife was telling me how everyone there seems to be so much of a connection, but so many people stop it. There's a lot of connections going on, and I heard about that. I was like, damn, 6 degrees
Yeah,
of separation. This whole disposition took place not too far from where George Floyd got killed. I said, yo, this whole
exactly.
disposition, so much less than 6 degrees of separation.
And the stuff with what was it right? The young man that was actually shot.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah,
it,
that was sad. That was sad, and I think it's
all of that stuff, man. Huh?
if you look at the video, man, all you're looking at is like, damn, son, don't move, don't move. If he wouldn't have moved, would anything have changed, man? I'm like, dang. But
What happened is when these cops are chasing some of these guys, you have a lot of adrenaline rolling.
big
You see
time.
what I'm saying? A lot of adrenaline is you running behind a guy that you suspect that he's done something or he's running for a reason.
Hmm.
A lot of adrenaline, and that's what's going on. But in the George Floyd case, there was no adrenaline. It was just malice. The guy did it. He wanted to find out what it's like to do that, so he found out.
Yeah. Have you been paying
It
attention to
wasn't
the
part.
show? Yeah.
Not
Have you watched?
particularly. No. I hear you.
I said, have you been
Come
watching
again?
the Chauvin case at all?
No, not particularly. No.
Yeah.
But
I'm not
that's
watching.
a lot of questions.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Huh?
I watch highlights at the end of the night. I watch highlights of specific things.
Yeah.
I can watch the whole case because I was really disturbed listening to the defense and the one quote unquote professional that was saying that he was within his rights to execute that amount of pressure and that type of attention to him, and it wasn't intentional kill. I was like, how the hell could you say that? And then you look at the history, these people are officers. Then what about, I don't know if you saw, the one professional supposed to be a doctor giving testimony about, he's supposed to be a pulmonologist, right? Giving testimony saying he didn't die from what Chauvin was doing. He died because of carbon monoxide
I heard
that
that.
inhaled, and then his interactions with some of the other stuff. But at the same point in time, they're leaving out of this whole situation that same doctor they're asking for testimony is in another court case that he's being prosecuted because he was found to hold back information in another case involving police department. Hold back information. How the hell can he be credible? How can they allow that shit? But that's incredible.
I don't know if the prosecutor is going to tell Manu if they haven't already done so, because when they're prepping you to be a witness, you have to have a clean slate because it's going to come right out.
Yeah,
it's going to come right out.
Well, as you've seen many times before in court cases, once you get up on that dais and you raise your hand, you become a target. And they come at and they're ugly, man. It's just bitter and it's disgusting. Yeah. They ask you, they belittle you. It's a shame how this one case that they're coming after Chauvin, and it seemed like this one defense lawyer was actually prosecuting George Floyd again. It was same. I'm like, my man is passed. What the hell are you talking? You're trying to break down his character. I mean, more and more you do this. It's a shame, man. But this is the mentality, it seems, that defense lawyers have. In addition to, and seems to be a common thing amongst police officers, to, I don't know if it's soften the blow of the idea of doing something that they've done, or to justify in their mind what they've done to others. And it's a shame, man. It's a shame. It's a system. It's really sad.
I was browsing the TV yesterday, and I just flicked by Fox, and this one lady down in Louisiana, I posted it online. $1.2 million that was put into her bank account accidentally. Did you hear about that one?
No.
It was Charles Schwab. They meant to put $82.56 into her account. Instead, they put $1.2 million into this chick's account. Yes. Well, baby girl didn't waste no time going out to try to buy a house. That's the first thing she did. Yes. She's like, I'm out of here.
You imagine that?
$1.2 million, bro.
She's probably
That's a
sitting there
lot.
looking at it. God is good. God is good. I knew He blessed me. So you're talking all of a sudden it's a mistake.
That's what dreams are made of, dude. I'm telling you.
Can you imagine that? And you try to take that. You're trying to get trying to take a big ass chunk out. All of a sudden, walk up into the bank. I have this account, and you're taking how much money? Yes, on all of a sudden, and then be like, oh, they made a mistake. It's in my account.
Yeah, Mo, it gets even better. The best part about it, because she had two accounts with that bank, so they put it into one account, and she transferred the money into another one of her account, so they can't get that money back.
Wow.
So they couldn't get the money back. She transferred the money from that account with Charles Schwab to another account. She pulled a switch on it.
I wonder if she's able to do that, man. I'd love to see how to do that. You know how the banking industry, they will find that.
You could do that. You could do that. You could have, because a lot of accounts come with a checking account and a savings account attached.
Right.
Mind
Yeah.
Switch it over. You can write a check or whatever the case may be, and if you think that you're being defrauded, you just move the funds over and you protect yourself. You see, that's how that's how you do it. Yeah.
I'm gonna look into that just in case this happens to me. I'm gonna hit that button real quick.
Yeah, I told one of my family members how to do it that way, and they tried to defraud her, and she moved that money right over, and she's like, "Nope, you got to settle this situation now."
Wow.
You forced me to come to the table.
You imagine the person who has to answer for that? It wasn't my fault. It was stuck. The keyboard was stuck. I hit the button. It wasn't I didn't mean to give him $8.2 million. I didn't mean to.
$1.2 million. That's 1,200,000.
That's a whole lot of errors. That's crazy, man. But
now this is what that gets me, because some people are saying, well, hey, finders keepers, losers weepers. You know what I'm saying?
I can understand. Trust me. I would relive the Richard Pryor theme. Wasn't me. Nope, wasn't me. But you did it wrong. You got the money. No, wasn't me. It's in your account.
Know what I'm saying? That Shaggy song, it wasn't
me. But you took it out. Hey, wasn't me.
Well, what it is, because then they actually interviewed a defense attorney, and he rationalized the whole situation where she will be able to keep the money. He rationalized the whole thing. I'm like, dude, he's like, he rationalized it. He says, I would love to have her as my client, because first of all, she did not defraud the bank. They put it into her account. So she did not do any type of illegal maneuvering with Charles Schwab. And this guy rationalized the whole damn thing. I'm like, wow. This guy could turn mud into a cake and have you eat it. That's to tell you how convincing this freaking dude was.
Man, but what? I can't even fathom that. That type of mistake, and you can keep it? Yo, then you'd see that person happy as hell. You'd be mad as hell. You lose your job because of a mistake. Then they try to prosecute you to get the money from you as the employee who made the mistake.
Exactly.
What?
Yeah. What? Not only that, because they fired her, then they arrested her. Yeah, she worked for the PD.
Well, wow. She
was PD. Yeah, for the sheriff's office.
Check that out. Ain't nothing happening to her. She's part of the family. Okay. All right, cousin.
She can make a very large donation to the policeman's fund.
the PBA. Nice check, thank you.
Exactly. I want to give you $200,000 and keep the mail for myself and pretend this never happened.
Hell yeah! Wow. It's gonna buy all the dogs extra body gear, all the canine dogs. Wow.
Yeah, including the robotic dogs also.
She's gonna buy
them. Exactly.
That's horrible. Paid for by mistake.
And your taxi, thanks. I always know I love Charles Schwab.
I would be that way. I would do that if that happened to me, and I'd buy something for the city or the bank and says paid for.
You're gonna pull the findings keepers deal, Mo?
Oh my God. I'm telling you, I would go and buy something as a gift to say thank you and say that paid for by your mistake. Thank you. Enjoy. Enjoy.
Yeah,
Instead of
1.2
a water
million.
cooler,
That's hilarious.
I'll get them a tap so they can all enjoy the beverages.
And the thing about it is, because for her to rush out real quick and buy a house, I said she must be black, must be a sister, and damn sure she was.
So finally, we won something, right? Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
she must have been scoping that crib out for some time and just praying to the Lord.
Ready to retire. She probably was on a wish list. She had that shit
Yeah,
planned. Hey, man.
yeah.
Good for her
You
tonight.
can't run on the back that quick, man, without shopping around for it. The money just hit your bank account and you already bought a crib.
Unless they found out and all of a sudden, like 15 predators will come and knock on the door. I got the perfect one here. Let me look. I'm going to make it easy. Just sign here. Okay, take care of it. What?
Yeah, that's hilarious, man. That was my joke of the week, man. I'm serious.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I'll tell you that. It's something that I think we all sharing. What if it would have happened to us?
Exactly. And that's the thing about it, because I like to know each and every individual's perspective on something like this. You know, what would you do if you're gonna do anything, if you're gonna turn it over? You know, it's no different from like if you see a truck full of money just driving down the street, all of a sudden it opens up and money just flies out into the street. What are you gonna do?
Pick it up.
Let me guess. You don't believe in littering, is that it?
Exactly. I'm trying to help beautify the neighborhood, making sure it stays clean. I saw garbage come out of the back of a truck. I didn't know what it was. I had put it back. I put it in my car. So I can throw it back for them. That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened.
Keep the city clean.
That's what it is. I'm a good Samaritan.
You know the strange thing about that, because this friend of mine, you know, he was on a truck many years ago and he worked for Brinks, and that's just exactly what happened. The door swung open and the money fell out.
Man, you know what? I'd like to say that. I think I say this for everybody. Anytime you're near a Brinks truck or a big truck like that has money or even thinks of money, everyone thinks of the same. What if them doors pop open? Everybody thinks that. I know. I do.
Dream makers, huh?
Oh my God. My wife said she knows somebody that happened to. I've heard of stories where stuff like that happens, where the truck driver and bundles of money pop up. I'll be a zigzagging ass on I-95. What? I saw
stop traffic instantaneously. Everybody's all over the roads running like crazy.
I think instead of people persecuting and looking behind, I see a Brinks truck or something like that. I'm driving nicely and space-wise, we're right behind it. Any chance they hit a bump, I'm right behind it. I'm gonna have a big giant fish net and everything, because if it opened up, I'm catching every damn thing. Woo-hoo-hoo. That's it.
You and everybody else, because everyone's gonna be slamming brakes like crazy. I'm serious. I've seen that happen in the past. Everybody jumps out of their cars and start running across the street, snatching it up. And that's when the results to all of those little cameras that's mounted on the poles. You know, to go back and take a look and see what's happening. It happened at Bally's many years ago also.
Did it?
I don't know if you was aware of that, because what happened was at Bally's, one of the ATM machines, one of the guys who actually loaded, which is the Brinks guys, actually put hundreds in a $20 slot or something like that. So for every 20, you was getting $100.
Ooh,
so when you take out 100, you actually taking off 500.
Wow.
Man, that ATM had a long line. Some of the employees was going on break. The employees was going on break to try to get in the line to hit the ATM. The customers, employees, yeah.
These are stories that just don't take you all the time.
The bank went back, and the bank says everyone who used the ATM in that particular moment, we're going into your account and we're taking the money back. And the employees who actually were in the line actually ended up being terminated.
Oh yeah, I imagine that's a shame.
Like,
it wasn't me. I was just trying to get money.
They had it all, man. I'm telling you.
I can only imagine, man. And that's another one. You know how you've seen like videos or movies and shit where you're walking by an ATM and it starts spitting out hundreds, you know, out of money like that. And all that situation is, what would you do? I'm being honest. It would be automatically, oh shit, something went wrong. My next decision is, oh shit, pick up the money. Then thirdly is, I'm gonna get in trouble if I keep it. Oh no.
Yeah. You know, but like this one attorney said, it's not worth the aggravation and the hassle, man. I'm serious. At the end of the day, it's not worth it. That's the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I'm still riding behind a Brinks truck with a fishnet.
Nobody is stopping you.
Just in case.
Like I said, in Virginia, it was an accident. The truck turned over, and the people jumped out of their cars, and they was grabbing all the money. By the time we got there, you don't remember.
See how foul it is? The truck flipped over. They didn't check on the people driving in it. They just saw like yeah, body pieces all over the place. They were like, "Oh my God, is that a late? Wait, that's 100. Hold up."
Money was flying everywhere, and they picked up the money. By the time we got there, we saw that it was a chaos, but the money, all that part was over.
It wasn't me.
You don't remember that?
Wasn't me. Wasn't me.
Yeah, okay.
Wasn't me. I would have flew and make sure that the guys were okay. That's what I would have done.
Oh, you would make sure that they're okay. You know, yeah. CPR and all that kind of fine stuff. You'll be a good Samaritan. You know, you'll do a little bit of CPR, find out whether or not they're okay.
I would have, but don't ask me what I have in my hand. That's all.
Hey, Mo, they won't be checking your hand. They'll be checking your pockets. They're checking your pockets.
I'm moving debris out the way. I'm moving debris that could be flammable out of the way. I'm trying to de-escalate the situation. I saw that the bags were in the way. I saw the potential link could be flammable. I wanted to be an asset to save their lives, so I moved them out the way. I don't know where they went, but I moved them out the way.
Crinkled up bills are in your pocket. A handful of crinkled up bills in your pocket.
That was mine. That was mine. That was mine. I just came from the bank account. It was mine. Be like, their number? Yeah, I took my time and asked the bank to get the exact number, serial numbers the same way. I said, mine, damn it. That's right.
You're a good Samaritan on the scene.
I'll be the one. What happened was, we're in Virginia, and we just saw the Samaritan save his life. And what do you think? What happened was, I saw the truck to save the people's lives. And what'd you do with the money? What money? I didn't see the money. I saw people, and what money? There was money? I didn't see no money. No one asked me for money. No money. I saved their lives. Thank you. Hi, mama. That was it.
See you.
Yo, speaking about money, did you just see? It was something that we saw earlier.
Usher
Raymond got people mad as hell in Las Vegas because he was passing out bills at the strip joint with his face on it. Instead of legit $100 bills, 20s and 10s, he was passing out money with his face on it because he thought he was promoting his residency at Caesar's Palace. So he's passing it out the strip club. So they mad as hell. A bunch of strippers looking at $100 bills with Usher's face. Mad as hell. He about to get shanked by a bunch of strippers up in Las Vegas.
You better come up with some real, because I remember many years ago, Floyd Mayweather was at a pool, at Harris and stuff. He started throwing around a whole lot of money and people started to riot. You could get in trouble for that stuff. People were rioting at the pool. Yeah, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
And starting to riot.
We've seen well, it wasn't a riot. It was, New Orleans. We saw some guy with a dollar bill machine. He was steady shooting it at. And it was hundreds of people, but nobody wanted to fight nothing. But there was just, I was like, I guess hundreds? Shit, yeah, I might be in that ride too. Wasn't me. This
I think it was one or two guys many years ago, had a trash bag full of money, went all the way up to the top of the Empire State Building and started emptying all of the money down onto the streets.
Wow.
It was raining money. And kid you freaking not. So later on when they arrested these guys, they got them for littering. And Yeah, and littering. Yeah, can't do that. Can't be throwing money around.
As long as it's dollar bills and not rolls of quarters.
Well, dollar bills adds up. Those
Rolls of
dollar bills,
quarters could be.
they add up real quick floating around.
Hell yeah! You
They
got
get
so
hurt.
you get hit by roll of quarters from Empire Top State,
Yes.
you're dead.
Yeah, you get hit by real quarters coming down from the Empire State Building. You can write it off.
A serious money.
Hey, pennies from heaven could kill you.
Yeah, pennies from heaven will kill you instantaneously. By the way,
Oh yeah, put all kinds of holes in you. What was that? I think it was Lincoln. I don't know.
yeah.
That's who killed him. Lincoln killed him. Yep. Wow, that's a shame. But
That stuff with us is crazy. Though. It reminded me years ago with another situation when this one prostitute here in Atlantic City, this one guy was actually she was working in a strip club, as a matter of fact. No, she was a prostitute. Excuse me. And what happened was this one guy was counterfeiting money. He had a car trunk full of counterfeited bills, and he actually passed it off to one of these, ladies of the evening. And she turned him in. He got locked up.
she cashed him out for
$50 bill for her services, and she had him jailed.
Imagine that prosecution. Be like,
Yeah.
Your Honor, what happened was I got the wrong bills. I was with Usher.
This guy's car trunk had nothing but counterfeit bills up inside his car trunk.
That's crazy. You know what? You notice? I don't know if you noticed in the past couple of years, they've had I think 4 different types of $100 bills created because of all the duplication of money. It's 4
Right.
different types of $100 bills. I'm like, damn, in a short point of time. But yet we can't get one person placed on a 20. Come on, we can't get one.
Yeah, after 400 years, you can't get one. They say we give you one black president, give you one female president, but we ain't gonna give you one person on that bill.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
They're gonna fuck around and be like, we can't put Kamala on there. She's too light skinned. She doesn't show. She look like a white person, and it just won't really do it. We can't put her on there. Really? Okay. That'll be something.
Yeah,
But,
all the vice presidents, it's a whole list of vice presidency, one woman. And then on the other side, see all of the presidency, one black dude. That's it. So you've had your shots, folks.
That's it. I'd like to be the one. If I was ever in a situation, I would have been Barack. You have the prestigious honor of being up on the wall, being the president, right? Everyone's taking the regular picture. I'd be the one just deliberately doing something like, yeah, that's the presidential picture.
Yeah.
Something crazy. Like, yeah.
Well, the thing about it is he showed that he could actually do it twice. You know what I'm saying? 2 terms.
Yeah.
So that's important. He wasn't like a one-trick pony like the last guy that we know of.
I love when you remember when he was doing the State of the Union address, and one of the Republicans came out their mouth and said something about liar, and then the minute he talked about being elected, he says, "And I did it."
I think he froze. Freeze frame.
Elected twice.
I didn't hear you repeat because it seemed like this. You've just froze up again.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Then it just changed over. Now I was just saying how Barack had made a statement, and the State of the Union, one of the Republicans called him a liar or something in the same time.
I remember it.
And the address a little bit after that, he said something about the political process and being elected, and he made sure he mentioned, and I was reelected loudly, 2 times, elected and elected, and it just resonated throughout the whole thing, and everybody's like, yeah, he dropped the mic and walked out. He could have walked off and would have been done.
It's amazing. The guy who wanted to serve 2 terms ended up serving 1 term, and the guy who served 1 term wanted the guy who served 2 terms to be a 1-term president. In essence, Trump wanted Barack to be a 1-term president. Trump ended up being a 1-term president.
Yep.
One and done. That's
it. He was looking to see what he can do to change the Constitution for him to stay longer.
I know.
He already thought in his mind he was going to win a 2nd term. He had it in his mind. He had it locked. That's why he was so calm. Oh yeah, the election's coming. Yeah, I'm going to win. He was trying to seal it, and then he was like trying to think. So he want to be like Putin, so he can sit up there in this hierarchy. He's the king. Oh,
But
fuck
see,
out.
you remember with Putin, he kills all of his competitions. So they're that's what he does. That's what he does best. He's an ex-KGB agent. What do you anticipate from that?
He's a hilarious KGB agent too. I've seen the pictures of him wearing dress pants, boots, and no shirt, riding a damn horse.
Yeah,
And
we see all that.
it's like, what the? This guy is just an odd man. He's an odd man. He reminds me of Will Ferrell. He's an odd man.
He's bizarre. But like it says, he kills all of his competition.
Mm-hmm.
So he could actually run for office, as many times, just like Xi,
Mm-hmm.
the prime minister of China, no doubt.
I remember there was a young man. He was the last person that ran against Putin in the last election, and he had won the popular vote but lost the election. I wonder if he's still around, because I think the only other person that went against Putin was drugged, and he almost died.
Correct.
He had
But then he went back to Russia. That guy went back to Russia, and they actually got him, and they jailed him. So, I'm like, okay, you got away the first time. Why would you want to go back?
Yeah, no, I know.
It doesn't make any sense.
And I haven't heard anything from Pussy Riot. Remember the group Pussy Riot? Female rock group. It was a female rock group, protesters called Pussy Riot.
Yeah, I remember that group.
Yeah, and they were able to. They were almost jailed in the whole nine. And they matter of fact, they came to United States, and I think it was an initial Black Lives Matter movement, and they were performing someplace in DC somewhere outside, and that's the last time I saw them. And I'm like, wow, they actually got out of Russia. Wow, it's deep.
Joke, man, I'm telling you.
See how Biden put the chokehold on Russia now, trying to put restrictions. I said, "Oh God, here we go."
There's a lot of stuff going on with Russia and even with Saudi Arabia right now, considering because Saudi Arabia is fighting against Yemen, and I heard that there's a lot of starvation going on in Yemen because of Saudi Arabia, which the United States so happened to back. Because you remember, Trump was a big fan of Saudi Arabia. So there are a lot of children and a lot of people are starving in Yemen because they actually, created a chokehold, so none of the vital, supplies would be able to get into that country.
You know what's horrible about Saudi Arabia? More and more, I started understanding more about how King Hussein and the rest of the royal family have been treating people. They ship people coming in from like Nairobi, from Somalia, a lot of Somalians and Ethiopians to do the work, the labor, to take care of the palace, to take care of development for building throughout Dubai, throughout the entire area, Qatar and everything. And they living off of rations. They're starving. Some of them living 20 people in a room. And they the temperatures sometimes can reach north of 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's no air conditioning. They just have to manage. And they're kept there with beyond their will. They're told they have to finish working there and they can't leave. They can't talk to their families or nothing like that. And sometimes people end up missing. And I said, wow, that's really difficult. People don't see it.
It's a very brutal society. The Saudis, a very brutal society.
Yeah. I mean, killing women is nothing to them. They're very, they're very secular and they believe what they want to believe. But they've been part of the 9/11 was because of what their involvement was involved. They were more responsible than anybody was. They're the ones that funded it.
And they had a few guys from Saudi Arabia, here in the U.S. during that 9/11 situation.
The royal family, yeah. Royal family. One of the princes, and it's a trip because I think it was a discussion about. Matter of fact, I know it was a documentary on Dubai's islands, the islands within the islands, the ones that they built.
Correct. Palm Island is what it's called.
Right, Palm Island. And the discussions are about the prince, and the guy was talking about the royal family. They're like hundreds of members of the royal family because the guy was just spreading the seed everywhere. He had like all kinds of harem, and all of them had children, and they're all having a palace, and they all live. And I'm like, wow, who the hell can he do?
It's generational wealth. They pass that wealth going straight on down the line.
Yeah. But the only thing is, they're almost at a limit now where they're starting to decline. They're not as much fossil fuels aren't as weighed on as anymore. They don't have the type of influence, so they had to lean more so on international travel and tourism and some of the other businesses, because they put in a lot of work, like the super malls, the big supercars,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
manufacturers. You know, it's beautiful region from what I've seen. Maybe one day I'll visit, maybe, especially if they got brink trucks.
You know, it's a lot going on, a lot of development, and like it says, especially in Dubai. You know, you see a lot of those, like I said, Palm Island. You know, each one of those islands, you know, have a person's name attached to it, or whatever the case. You could have your own particular island there. It's crazy,
I
and
saw
it's
that.
still building.
Yeah, I saw the Atlantis over there. It is a beautiful, beautiful territory. It amazes me, man, because at first I didn't really have the geographical sense of where it was. Dubai
Mhm.
sits on the water anyway, so they built like water upon water, and I'm like, wow, they built the whole ocean. Then I looked at that shit. I said, no, that is the ocean. Why the hell are they building an island off the ocean that's already existing? But it was a
Yeah,
marvel.
that's what they did. They judged the whole thing, and then they built these, you know, islands and put, you
Mhm.
know, luxury homes on these things. You know, you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, and the thing is,
It's crazy.
less than 30% of the houses are full. The rest of them are still empty, and they're still trying to sell them. And I'm like, yo, I don't know if anybody would want to live there. I mean, it's beautiful, opulent for those that can afford it,
Yeah.
and that type of lifestyle. Like I said before, sometimes I watch video shows on YouTube of travel and stuff like that, and I was thinking Dubai. Everything's exorbitant. I didn't think, okay, there's McDonald's, Burger King, there's Wawa's, there's small little independent stores here and there, small restaurants, there's small budget places. I'm like, budget Dubai? It just doesn't. It seems like it's the home of the opulent, man, super wealthy. That in
But you see, the
Singapore.
thing about it is, the people that actually live in Dubai, what happened is a lot of those people eat a lot of fast food because a lot of the food chains they are from here, from the United States. So Kentucky Fried Chicken, Domino's Pizza, they feast on these things. They
KFC.
believe it. Yeah, they started complaining that a lot of them were gaining so much weight from eating fast food like crazy and
I think
becoming unhealthy.
I think they like KFC because it's the King's fried chicken. King of King's fried chicken.
Yeah, KFC, Domino's Pizza, they love that stuff, man.
Yeah, I see that shit every time. Like there's this one times I watch this. Her name is Blonde Barbie. Blonde. She does all these car shows and stuff like that, and she's in Dubai all the time showing these supercars. And it's always like right across the street from either a KFC, a Wendy's, or a Pizza Hut. I'm like, damn, that's a lot of them fast food places, and it just makes sense.
Yeah.
Majority of people have to work there, can't afford to live there, but they're on their way home. They got to come back and get a sandwich.
Yeah, yeah, I guess fast. Yeah.
Yeah, get a bag of the King's fried chicken.
King's fried chicken time.
Mm.
Royal Crown.
Yeah, the Crown, right? Maybe that's where the origins of Crown fried chicken is, right? That's Dubai's version of KFC.
Oh,
That's
they
interesting.
could be Muslim and tied to Saudi Arabia and then actually name it Crown's Fried Chicken. You could do that.
Hey, as long as it's still chicken. I remember one time when Kentucky Fried Chicken stopped using the names Kentucky Fried Chicken just for KFC. Remember how the conspiracy was that now everything was genetically modified birds, like all the chickens had 4 and 5 wings each side. They were like just monsters developed super huge.
They modify these days. Everything like crazy. I was watching BBC earlier, and these guys in Europe, trying to implant, human embryos into freaking monkeys. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Create Planets of the Apes or something? Because you've seen the movie many times. I'm like, what's going on? It's craziness.
I've seen it. I can't say I've physically seen it, but I'm aware of it being done with pigs, because they talked about how the genetics of pigs, the DNA of the pig, close to human beings, as far as skin and organs, and that's why they transplant sometimes. Some people who may need like a heart transplant will get pieces of a pig's heart or organs and stuff like that, or skin grafts. They use pigs and so on and so forth. But an actual chimpanzee or a monkey, that's crazy. I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that it hasn't happened, man. Remember there was remember the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau? You remember that?
I heard of it, but I never saw it. I've heard of that movie.
The story was about genetics. A doctor trying to mix human DNA with animal DNA, and he was successful in doing a couple of them, and then they rebelled. I'm like, it's always been, I guess, a legendary thing. You know what I mean? It's been a old saying, whether it's some sort of philosophy or whatever. How, and there's an evil doctor, Dr. Yakub, trying to make animals into human beings, and back in it's all plain. I don't know. I think
That's science for you, though, Mo. Any way you cut it, that's science. Doctors are nothing but scientists. That's all
yeah,
they really are. Experiment. And scientists are scientists at the same time, but they're
yeah.
not doctors. It's just that they're in different categories, but they all line up as the same.
I'm I guess I lean towards the idea that whatever we've seen in TV has already happened. So more than
Yeah,
like they've already successfully genetically modified. I mean, if they created a drone of a living creature, they've already made a living copy of a living creature. They probably already done it for human
Dolly,
beings.
Dolly the sheep in England. Many years ago, they actually cloned a freaking sheep, Dolly the sheep,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
cloned that sheep. Exactly.
yeah. She survived for a while, and then she died, and they created another one. I was like, dang.
Yeah, correct.
You'll be up looking at a restaurant. Yeah, I'd like some lamb. Sure. Would you like a genetically cheaper? You get 2 for 1. No, thank you.
I bet. Even with the chicken, you get 2 for 1.
True that. Which is crazy because science is like that. Are you
Yeah.
aware of the story of the banana? You know the
No.
banana. There's actually there's only one species of banana. Everything else that we see are mass genetically created images or replicas of the one banana. There's one living chain that's real bananas had seeds, big ass seeds and all that stuff in Costa Rica. I saw the picture. I think it was a Netflix documentary about genetically GMOs and so on. And they talked about bananas. They talked about apples and everything. Bananas blew me up. Blew me away because I'm thinking Dole bananas. You always see the tropical, beautiful bananas. You see banana trees everywhere. And the guy says, all those are just drones. They're all genetically modified copies of this. And you saw the plant. And it doesn't look like a regular banana. It's like almost brownish red. It's really thick and short and fat. He was like, this is the only genetic, this is the genetic granddad of all bananas, anything that you see all over the planet. This is the origin. I was like, oh shit, this is some godlike type stuff. And then he talked about how, it was so easy to genetically modify it. And it happened in times where people were going through hunger strikes and in areas that they were trying to reduplicate farmland that it was able to replicate. And they said the banana plant, the leaves and everything helps to create a more fertile ground after they drop. So it was like the perfect idea for perfect subject matter to duplicate. And I was like, damn, they duplicated the hell out of it, because if you look at a real banana, the origin banana, you open it up, it's very little pulp. It's mostly seed. I'm like, who the hell? Nobody eats the seed. No wonder. Duh. It's like a seed. I'm like, wow, it's crazy. You open it up, it's like pods of dark corn. That's what it looks like. You ever seen purple corn from like Brazil or Peru? The big giant kernels of corn look like candy corn. It's the same shit. The banana actually looks like that. Let me see if I can find a picture of the origins of banana.
That's so different from at the North Pole, how they have seeds from every single plant on the planet at this underground bunker.
Yeah, the bank.
Yes, correct. So in case mankind's wanting to wipe themselves out or whatever the case may be, you will be able to reproduce a lot of these plants and the food, everything.
I was looking at that stuff. You know what? I used to get this series of magazine called Popular Mechanics, right? And I used to love Popular Mechanics and Popular Science, right? And Popular Mechanics and Popular Science, one thing they talked about was that, and about the bank that they created in near the Arctic Circle. And that Arctic Circle was crazy because when you looked at the bank, it says they have a basic like interest to keep every seed of every living plant on the planet there. I'm like, oh shit! Why at the Arctic Circle? Why is this bank? And the way this bank is set up is like right in the side of a mountain
Yeah,
or
that's what I'm
cliff.
talking about. Yeah.
I said that's amazing, but I'm looking at the different pictures now, and I'm trying to get the right one so I can show you what I was talking about. The original banana. Matter of fact, I'm just going to share the whole thing and I'll show you. Uh, where's it at? All right. You see the bananas? Can you see it?
No, not yet. Yeah, there it is.
All right. You see how they're going? You see some? Let me show you the ones that were in the beginning upper. The original bananas. The question is it still linking? You see how the seeds are here?
Yeah.
The original banana doesn't look like this. That's a drone. It's fat like that, but it has the. I saw pictures earlier. Like you see the ones in seeds. So when you get closer to the origins, like there's blue bananas, like sky blue bananas.
Mhm.
I was like, wow, is it cotton candy? They was like, no. Nah. You got the red ones. The red one's the original one. Let me see if I can get it. Well, here's a picture of how the indigenous banana is more with seeds in it. I was like, oh, how palatable is that? Imagine getting an ice cream banana split with that in it instead of a banana that we used to. I don't know if that'd be it.
Banana split. How is that?
I don't know how tasty that would be, right? But they talked about that and the extinction of the banana. It's only one strain of banana left. I was like, that's crazy, man. Genetically modified stuff, foods all over the planet.
Yeah.
Anyway, but back to what we were saying. Okay, let me take this back. I'm surprised none of the ladies had LinkedIn. I don't know what happened to them.
Yeah, I was thinking of Miss Laurel, on the crew.
Thought she's probably munching. She
Yeah.
gets a chance to eat. And then Nikki probably busy doing her thing too. Or Gina. She's probably sitting your niece is probably out in the background waiting for one of them. Who?
She's not like face wise, but
I didn't see her.
She was watching.
Oh, you saw her watching? Okay.
Okay.
I don't know.
She's monitoring.
Like always, waiting for lunch. Waiting for lunch.
For a good topic today, she just spring into action.
So I posted the question earlier. I said, what would you die for? Because you know how everyone initially. Well, let me get a little backstory. Some years ago, I used to have this group that we would call together. I was co-hosting this group, this weekly group. It was a get together that we have slam poetry. We'd read. Some people rhyme, sing, whatever the situation. We come together called Pangea Live, right? So what we would do is anybody who was new to it would have to answer a few questions. And these were questions not to really be interrogating anyone, but to have them think deeper than they normally think, right? One of the questions I would ask is, what would you die for? And generally everybody says the same thing. Oh, I die for my children. I die for my family. I die for this, and then I follow up as, okay, all right, so what would you kill for? Then it would make them think a little differently. I said, think about it. Rationally thinking, if you're not a person who's into violence, not gun violence, nothing like that, what would you kill for? And then you would think about that stuff. And then ultimately, what is that speaking about you? So I put that on there because now with all this gun violence is going on, people are on edge, man. They're on
the edge.
Yeah. And, you hear it all the time. You hear people talk about it. I think I may have been, I'm not even saying I think. I know I've been in situations where I've been heightening my aggressiveness, and I've been like, look, let that motherfucker come near me. He's dead. I'm killing him, whatever the situation is. You let him touch my son, my wife, my mother, my mother-in-law, they're dead. Whatever the situation is. Because that's an easy thing to say when you're not in that critical situation where you got to make that point, man. But, it just proves it. Because some of us like to believe, we would do all this. But when the time came, would we? Could we? Because I think that's another question. Because people talk how easily they would kill somebody. It takes a lot. It's psychologically, physically for you to be able to kill someone. I mean, a bullet, sometimes you can make a mistake, but to intentionally pull the bullet knowing you're going to kill that individual, or a knife, that's harder. Or with your
Yeah.
hand, or bludgeoning somebody by beating them over the head. It takes a real, either very detached superhuman being to just do that. It's not a normal ability for anyone
Reaction.
yeah. And so I posed that question, and Brother Mark Grassman had came up earlier. Says, I would die for my children, my family, my life. As a pastor, there's a framework that he's, how he. But average people, what would you die for? What would you kill for? Huh?
He said I died to live.
He says he would die to live. Okay. Maybe that's the sentiment of being Christ-like, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, because when you participate in a church, it tells you and it teaches you how to be, just like you say, Christ-like. When you're into some type of religion, it teaches you how to humble yourself. Because like I've often said, there's three different types of justice. A lot of people who actually go back out and kill certain people don't believe that justice is going to actually prevail, so they take justice into their own hands, and they're like, well, I'm going to settle it, whereas I'm not going to rely on the law. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it really boils down to. So it depends on the circumstances.
And they also said because we take life for granted,
You're talking on the other side. She says she's trying to reiterate what Mark had said. She says what she remembers about taking life for granted. I would die to live. Well, I don't know how it's a big idea, big thought process to really try to think it through and navigate that kind of concept. But what would you die for? What would you die for? I always said I would die for the freedom of my people, and not just my people, meaning Latinos, or my people, as in Africans all over the world. The freedom, if I had to give my life so everyone would be free of the bullshit, free of the stresses, and free of the animosity, free of the deceit, I would. I'd freely give my life, that I can say everyone can now find peace in their heart, not be scared, or find love and love one another freely without content, without any of that stuff. Then it make my life. It would give more value to my life. Then I guess.
The Bible actually, actually speaks of the last days. What's going to happen in the last days?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people believe right now we're living just that. In the last days, where right will be wrong and wrong will be right, and up will be down, and the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But also in the Bible it says, fear not, because you have to believe in a higher God. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you got to believe in something higher, a higher power than you. That's what it really boils down to. Because I've seen people who've actually had their family members murdered, but had enough ability to actually forgive, the individual that has committed that crime.
I see that.
It's like what happened down in South Carolina when that white guy walked into the church and he actually shot up the whole church. Those people actually said that they forgave him. You see what I'm saying? It takes a hell of a lot to forgive somebody who have done such a hideous crime. So this eye for an eye doesn't always actually work. So it depends on the circumstances also. It depends on the circumstances.
Right. The liberty of the pain and guilt by actually forgiving someone. It's a freedom.
Correct.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Like I mentioned, I was watching a movie yesterday, Spike Lee's Chirac, and at the end of the movie, the character Chirac, he's the rapper who plays by Nick Cannon. He admits to a young lady that he had killed her 9-year-old daughter, 11-year-old daughter, and then whatever the situation, her crying, him crying, his situation, he got up, says he looked in the camera, looked into the guys, he said, "Now I'm free." He says, "I don't have to live with the guilt because I admitted to her. I apologized to her in the whole nine. Now I'm free. I'm brave. Now I'll do whatever I need to do, but I'll be able to live better, living freely from the guilt and the whole nine. I said, wow, that's an amazing concept. You know what I mean? To be able to admit that. I've seen it. You know, I've
Yeah,
seen
it says
cases
be
where
kind
people
to your
admit,
enemies.
yeah,
You know, it says in the Bible, be kind to your enemies because you heap coal, coal on their heads. You
mhm,
know, so that's exactly what it really boils down to. So it's a matter of having a higher belief is what it's all about. So it depends on the circumstances and the individual. Everybody's different to react.
mhm,
You know, some people say, I'll kill for this, I'll kill for that. It all depends. Everything is different. It depends on
yeah,
the circumstances and the situation at hand.
right.
So it's very tough to actually says what you're going to do it for. Some people just roll right on. I'll die for this. I'll do. But it depends on the circumstances and the way things go down. So,
That's
here goes a good example. Okay, say you're on a cruise ship. Okay, and the ship is going down. You know, they say the captain always goes down with the ship. You know, but sometimes the captain is the first one off.
yeah.
You see what I'm saying? And I've seen that in the past also. You know, and at times people actually says, "Hey, look, here goes a life raft right here. I'm going to give it to you instead of having it for myself." So you just actually forfeited your life to actually save somebody else's life. It depends on the circumstances and the situation.
Being a martyr, right?
The gentleman with the FedEx situation,
Yeah.
one of the guys that was killed, he went to
She's
approach the
she's in the
gunman.
background talking to me lightly, and I'm like, grab a mic or
He
get
went
close
to
to her.
approach the gunman and was killed in the FedEx situation.
Oh, FedEx, okay. Guy stepping in, and I see that quite often. People, actual heroes, man, because that's
Yeah,
another thing. I see a lot of the word hero thrown around continuously, especially somebody in a uniform. They're automatically earn that title without ever doing anything. And I'm like, no, you have some individuals who are true heroes, man. Stepping away,
correct.
gunfire, saving the lives. I remember the situation where I saw the young African. He was an immigrant man in France who climbed, I think it was 13 stories to save the life of
Yeah,
somebody
of a
on the
child.
13th floor.
A child. Yeah,
They
it was
called
an African guy. Yeah, I saw that.
remember they called him Spider Man. I
Yeah, I
said,
remember.
building's on fire, and he's climbing the outside of that building like without issue. Like, yo, I'm up there, I'm getting it, I got this, and go saves the life of the child. I think it
But
was a
I'll
child.
tell you someone else also that a lot of people not aware of. Cory Booker. And one time he came across a fire in his neighborhood. I think it was his neighbor, and
Mhm,
and her house was on fire. He actually ran into that house and
mhm.
brought the neighbor out of that burning building.
I remember the story.
Yeah, Cory Booker.
Yeah, I
You know, he
remember.
he talks much about it, but he did it, and I remember when that happened.
Yeah, I remember the story. There was a documentary being shot. Viceland was following him. It was just called Brick City, and in that he talked about that situation about
Yeah,
the fire happening. He saw the fire, ran across the street,
exactly. Yeah,
automatically ran inside to save the life, and the person was asleep at that time.
exactly.
He had to save a life. Yeah, that's definitely noteworthy. That's heroism, and that's something
Yeah,
that definitely be identified for. I know locally, I remember there was a fire back Maryland, right? Back in the Marina District. I was working, and some of the kids, Mr. Mo, there's a fire. There's a fire. So I didn't know what was going on, and then I ran outside to look. I couldn't see it. I had to go around the corner. It was across the street. It was a big fire. Anytime you see dark smoke, then you
mm-hmm.
know that's a serious
Yes,
fire
yeah,
right there.
hmm
So as they're knocking in, I'm thinking I, I have to go in there. I got to go in. I'm thinking naturally have to go in there. The minute I thought about it, in comes this pastor behind me, runs in, knocks the door down, kicks it down, and runs up into the fire. Runs up into the fire. And this man, that brother right there, woo,
He was thinking about it and he reacted to it.
I no, instantly, and I give him all the credit in the world because he immediately he saw it and immediately jumped in. That's a hero.
Mm.
That's a hero. I was
Someone
thinking. I was thinking to try to be a hero or try to save life, whatever situation it was. Luckily, there was nobody up there, but he leaped without thinking. I said, that right there, he's built for it.
everybody, one time or another, everybody's going to come across something that will actually is very noteworthy.
Yep.
It's very noteworthy, So it depends, I mean, that was, his time to shine. I mean, I've seen it many times over. Everybody's going to come across something that would actually be noteworthy, and
Yeah,
helping another human being. That's kindness, generosity.
yeah. That man was he was a pastor that used to drive a school bus, in and out of the community to distribute food in the community to feed the kids. Used to help
Mm-hmm.
that program with me the whole nine. Really fly guy, man. Really nice, down to earth. Wasn't too churchy per se. He was real cool people, man. And just out of nowhere, you didn't see nothing, but you saw him running like a blur into that like boom, knocked the door down, ran upstairs and the whole nine. We're like, Pastor, get out, Pastor, what are you doing? I'm getting close to the door and I'm seeing him come back out. He says, "Is there anybody in?" He didn't know if it was going on. He just immediately leaped to it. I'm like, sometimes you got to think about it. Sometimes I guess he's just guided by God, and he went up there. And brave man. But some people just do it. You know what I mean? Then I hear stories of people that pass. I've always heard the story about, especially fires. That's what I said. People like your brother, man. Being a fireman is an honorable thing. An honorable thing. Definitely. I appreciate the firemen for all the stuff that they've done and being able to put their lives in jeopardy. I'm more enamored with firemen than I am of police. Everyone knows that, and if they didn't know it, you know it now.
So he'll know it now. Huh?
Now, but I remember a fireman told me one time about a big fire that happened uptown, and them going in to the building and saw a grandmother holding her two grandchildren. I think it was two grandchildren, and all three of them died from carbon monoxide. Says the silent killer. And when they
Mm-hmm.
came in, they were froze right there on the step. She was holding him, trying to protect them, and they all passed and she perished. I
Wow.
said that's hard as hell for someone to see. As a fireman going in there trying to save lives and do what they do, and you see it, and like you didn't get there in time. That's hard, man.
Well, that's what I say. There are a lot of people when depends on the circumstances. When duty calls, people run. They don't run away; they run to it. There
Yep.
are a lot of people in the community and in this country that will actually jump right in together. I just saw a car turned over recently, and a whole lot of people decided to just come and open up the door and the whole 9 yards to get these people out. I mean, it depends.
Yeah, something like
Everybody,
that.
it depends the moment.
Uh-huh.
They spoke about like Dr. Oz when he was, in California getting ready to hop a flight, and this one guy passed out, and he was able to revive the guy. And they're like, "Thank God, Dr. Oz was, right there in the airport to help this guy out."
Yeah, on the spot. Some of the doctors that pop in, um, they're strangled or choking on something. A doctor pops in and saves lives. It's
Mhm.
there's people who do that. I know
There's a
immediately.
lot.
I'm attentive. You know how accidents happen on expressway and stuff like that. I'm attentive.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I see something like that, I'm on the line calling it EMTs or firemen or whatever situation. But you see something as it happens, your immediate reaction is to go there and see what you can do
Correct.
to save a life.
Assist,
Immediate.
assist. That's what you're there
Exactly.
to do.
Yep. Because I've seen some horrible shit that blew my mind. People making really bad choices, especially like the expressway. I saw
Mm-hmm.
one car fly off the expressway. It was snowing, and he flew off the expressway and landed and hit a tree. I said, you talking about a fleet of people who were trying to get to the side, sliding down the road, snatching him out the car and the whole nine. I was blown away, and I'm like at a distance, and I saw that happen. I was like, wow, how scary that shit is. You know how fast you got to be to actually fly off like the ledge of the expressway and hit like a tree from a distance, and it folds on you. What?
Yeah, the strange thing about it, because I remember I was on the White House Pike at one time, and this one guy went flying by me, heading out towards Egg Harbor City, out that area. And a couple minutes later, the car was upside down up against a house. He flipped the
Mm,
whole car over.
yeah, I've seen something similar right on the pike too. Route 30 coming in.
Mm-hmm.
The gas station, that one that's torn down now.
Yeah.
Um, right on the other side of it, somebody just did not negotiate the turn to get up on the overpass, and then flipped over and hit the sign on the road. And I saw him coming up. He was like flying. This is a person that's like going 100 miles an hour up the pike looking to rush. You know how the people navigate going back and forth, trying to zigzag. And I'm like, okay, this guy's not smart. And all of a sudden, down the line, you see some smoke in the air. Like, oh shit, what happened? Then you finally get there. It's that vehicle. Like, oh man, people
Nothing
make
we
them.
saw it just coming home from Virginia.
Mhm.
Accident.
Yeah, we saw quite a few accidents coming
Yeah.
home from the Virginia, coming from Virginia. Saw quite a few accidents, and
Sat in the car,
it was
held up for
yeah.
an hour.
We were outside of DC, outside of the belt, and we were there for about an hour. And prior to, we saw a lot of cars. Like, I mean, these guys were like trying to hit the sound barrier. They were going really fast, and something happened, and it seemed like yeah, it seemed like a truck was making a turn and turned onto a lane and cut off another car, and that car got caught underneath the truck, and it like
Wow.
it just ran over it. Boom! It was horrible, man. But just goes to tell you, just remind you, wear your seatbelt, pay your insurance, wear your
Yeah,
seatbelt.
that's right. And don't drive faster than your guardian angel can fly. You know what I'm saying? Some people want to, you
Hell,
know, don't drive or ride faster than your guardian angel can fly. That's the way I look at it.
as long as if you have a federal aviation certificate to say that you can fly, don't fly in a car. Fly in a
It just
drive.
doesn't work. It just doesn't work out very well.
It doesn't. And you got to always remember, you could be the best driver on the planet. Doesn't mean that the next person is. You have to
Exactly.
make and you have to avoid it. So you can be the best, most safe individual on the planet. The next person being reckless can cause both of y'all to be dead.
Oh,
You
get a
just have
load of this.
Mhm.
I was coming up out of Philly one time, heading back into Jersey. So I just
Uh-huh.
came over the bridge and stuff, and I'm like flying, and everybody's coming across there. Typically 60, 65, by Camden, heading around there.
Mhm.
And someone actually lost a couch. It's a couch in the middle of the flipping street.
I've seen that.
Yeah, a couch, a living room couch in the middle of the street. And I came around the corner, and the couch was right there looking at me, and I had to navigate without
Mhm.
hitting a couch in the street.
I've seen
That
that. I've seen people like when you're not unsecured furniture on the top. I've seen beds fly off of cars, and mattresses fly off of cars, land on the next car in between. I saw one
That's
time
crazy.
a desk.
Run a truck. Run a truck.
I mean, honestly, I mean, I'm old school too. We used to strap up everything on a car. We'll make it work one whatever. We had all kinds of
They put on top of a car, and a couch ain't one of them.
and I've seen it, and I've probably done it. My family probably have done it. But when I saw a VW Bug had the top off and it had a big ass desk sitting up top, and you can see it was leaning. Like, the minute it hit a bump, it was leaning back because it was such a big desk. I was like, oh God. I was like, wow. I said, look, think about it. I mean, come on. I guess that's one of the reasons U-Haul became so cheap and so popular one time.
Yeah, exactly. You haul it.
Hell yeah.
You haul it your own damn self.
I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot too. Because I guess I enjoy driving. We used to travel all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, drive everywhere. So you get to see all kinds, especially when it comes to highways. I-95, you see just about everything. Or the back roads. Like back roads in Virginia, you get to see a whole bunch of shit. I'm like, I've seen some old vehicles that look like they were being held together by duct tape and a prayer.
Duct
And
tape
people,
always work, man. Don't knock it. Don't knock it till you try it.
I remember seeing this one truck hit a bump and his whole front end fell off. And he kept driving. I said, damn, look at that. How are you going to explain
Scotch tape? You don't have duct tape. It's Scotch tape.
I was like, what the hell is that? I said, okay, air conditioning. Okay. It was something.
Yeah, duct tape is good.
Duct tape makes it work, right?
Yeah, it's like crazy glue. When it first came out with crazy glue, how everybody was gluing every damn thing, including their lips and their eyelashes and the whole 9 yards.
Remember that the Gorilla Glue. Yeah. See the
Gorilla glue, exactly. Now they came with Gorilla Glue. They started doing that. The Gorilla Glue challenge.
Oh my God, that was a challenge, all right. Now I bet you this guy won't ever look at glue the same again.
Why would he?
You know what? You don't hear nothing. You don't hear nothing about the young lady who made that mistake and put it in her hair. I haven't heard anything since that mistake. I know she went to go see the doctor, and I think it was in a different state, California. Was it? She's in California. He went to, and he was in Miami, or she was somewhere else and he's in California. was a black doctor that went to help save her life. But I tell you what, she's probably got a real tight fade these days. Too much hair.
Yeah, Gorilla Glue it.
I think she's staying away from that shit. Closest thing to glue she's gonna be is Elmer's.
And she wouldn't even name her kid Elmer.
Put finger waves and shit with Elmer's glue. Be like white waves everywhere.
Gorilla Glue it.
That's crazy. I just I was at Home Depot the other day because I had to repair my son's bed. My son has a platform bed, and one of the sides of the platforms have ripped off after a while. You know, jumping in the bed, sitting on the edge, it wears away. So I had to go repair it. When I get there, I'm looking in the aisle, looking for the different adhesives, wood glue, and the whole nine. It looked like Gorilla Glue had like 30 different types of Gorilla Glue. I was like, damn, what is this for? Everything is clear epoxy, plastic, sticks and glue. I said, it used to be like Crazy Glue can stick on anything. That's all it said. Now it's all the super glues have to have a specific mission, a specific use for. I'm like, ain't you like working against what it was supposed to be? Supposed to make it easy.
Some for fabric, some for plastic.
Yeah, plastic, fabric, all that stuff. What happened to the one stick all type thing? Remember,
didn't work.
Shit, I used to always see the guy. Remember, he put on the helmet, the hard hat, and stick his
hair. Many years ago with the super glue. That's the super glue guy.
Yeah, the crazy glue guy. Yeah, and that's all it took. That's all we need. How many individuals on the planet can actually say that they haven't been a victim to the sticky fingers of crazy glue? You sit up there trying to rip it off and then looking way to take it off.
Take a little bit of skin with it.
Oh, exactly. Cut it, peel it, something to try to get it off.
Exactly. So a little skin in the game there.
Exactly. Skin in the game.
Literally skin in the game.
Exactly. That's another one of Adrian says right there.
A little bit of skin in the game. That's what you need to have, you know.
Oh yeah.
Project, you gotta have some skin in the game. Crazy glue.
Mm-hmm. And even the wood glues, I saw one that's an epoxy, and I didn't want to mess with it because it looked like it was one of those type of, once you put an epoxy in, that's a wood glue, is a crazy glue. It duplicates in size, but you can't really tell how much. If you're good at it, you can tell by a little bit. Knowing the way things have gone, I put something in, and all of a sudden it goes 5-6 times the size. Then it makes a mess, and everything gets stuck. Oh hell no! I was like, nah, I'm running away from that one. I was either going to rebuild the bed entirely or find the right type of glue.
Hey, try IKEA. They're IKEA beds, you know. I mean, college kids, they're known for IKEA big time.
No. I like IKEA. IKEA is probably one of the places that we go to always. I will go to the do-it-yourself section or the repair section because I can rebuild shit. Go there first. Like when you first go into like Philadelphia IKEA, if you go to on the first floor to the right side, you see all the dents and as is and stuff. And I'm always looking like, yo, that's $100 cheaper, and I can make it work putting this and that on, and I'll do it. I bought 1 or 2 pieces and made it, But you got to be able to read. What the word? What's the language?
Is it
not
Dutch
Switch?
I don't know.
Dutch, yeah, it's probably Dutch or Swiss. They always use these damn things, and it's very creative. They always give you the tools to do so. It's some new way of having a screwdriver / thumb drive / butter knife in one tool.
It works.
Hell yeah.
She from background works, huh?
We got a couple things from IKEA. IKEA is the bomb. I would say if I can get something from IKEA, the one thing I would get is get my kitchen redone like IKEA. The kitchens are nice. That and the new lounge chairs. They always look like they can break. Now it's like, yo, break it. Try to break it.
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, try to break it. Go ahead. You can try. I was like, I'm big and I'm heavy too. You don't want to show test? He said, go ahead. You try it.
You really want to test it out.
Shit, it was bouncing. I was like, bet. Nice and leather. It wasn't expensive too. I said, if I had the space, you'd be coming home with me. But that's IKEA.
Yeah.
It's IKEA. So, what have you heard as far as the vaccine's concerned? I know we had shared about Mount Zion. What's the feedback over there in the Ville?
Well, my niece has been sending me a few things here and there, in
Mm-hmm.
reference to the vaccine and stuff, but I haven't had a chance, other than what I've heard, with the Johnson and Johnson that's happening with the 6 individuals. It seems, that seems to be very problematic here and there, because a lot of people now who were on the fence as far as being vaccinated, now they're like jumping off the fence and like forget about it. But like I said, teachers reach, that's just the
Yeah.
bottom line. Teachers reach. If you think that you need it, get it. If you don't think that you need it, self-explanatory. You continue to keep self-isolating and doing all of the things that you've been doing. I have a few friends of mine. They're like, I'm not going to go that route at all whatsoever.
Yeah,
So
we
I'm not gonna do it.
I'm stuck.
CBS is busy.
Yeah, it's very active. You want to look, you only see one eye. Why don't you slide over?
Sorry.
It's like you're peeking around a brick wall. You're peeking around a brick wall. You see just one half of your face there.
It wasn't me. It was her. But have you noticed like the neighborhood pharmacy places like CVS and Walgreens?
I've never seen that much traffic.
They have a lot of people vaccinated now. They're vaccinated.
They really do.
I mean, it looks like they're having a better success rate than the center that they had established that the Army was in charge of
At the convention
at the
center.
convention center. Yeah, because that seemed to be a big headache for a lot of people. The way they were running it, I think it was the mass size. Please stop shaking. But the different CVSs, I just hear the same thing. I talked to the pharmacy the other day. He says
CBS.
they have a specific professionals that come in to do it, and it's like you're in
Mhm.
1, 2, 3. You'll sit there for a few minutes to double check to make sure you're okay, and then once you
Walgreens, same thing. Yeah. Walgreens is the same thing.
which is good. You know what I mean? I'm like, look, if it works for you, it works for you. I just want you to be healthy. But
Yeah.
then I'm hearing. Like I have one of my relatives got vaccinated a couple weeks ago, a month or 2 months ago, and vaccinated prior to her trip. She and I share the same birthday, so Lillian. So she's vaccinated in the whole 9. She got back, and now she's suffering through some sicknesses, and family is concerned that this may be COVID. She's right. The family went through I guess a run of it, and quite a few people experienced it. We dodged the bullet then, but they're apparently with it, and I'm just hoping that nothing comes of it. You know what I mean? I'm hoping she recovers really quickly. It doesn't leave a strain or wear on her or on her immune system or her body like we know that COVID-19 does. And again, the one element that it seems to be away from the conversation is also excuse me, is that COVID-19, oddly enough, can make men sterile.
I haven't heard anything like that.
Uh-huh.
Well, the thing about it is there's a lot of side effects, a lot of, from COVID, because I always relate COVID as a forest fire inside of the human body.
Right.
It actually is like tears your freaking organs up and many things. People, and I know individuals who end up with brain fog and all of this kind of different stuff.
Mhm.
And as far as being vaccinated is concerned, because you can still catch COVID, but as far as the severity of COVID, that's what the vaccine does. It reduces the severity of the virus, but you can still catch it even though you've been vaccinated. Now there's a situation that's happening now. Whereas say you ended up with the first primary shot, then you have the booster shots, about a couple of weeks later. Now they're actually looking at the South African, variant as being able to penetrate the Pfizer vaccine. So now they're working on a booster shot. So everyone who has like Pfizer, you have the first shot, the second one, which will be the booster. Now you're going to have to go back and get a third shot to protect you from the variants, because last I've heard it was like 7 variants out there.
Mm-hmm.
The South African, the Brazilian, the European, the New York one from California. So have all of these. So now they have to come up with different booster shots now. Now, just remember, because the vaccines only last approximately, as far as they know, 6 months.
Right.
6 months. That's it. So now they want to find out whether or not after 6 months you have to get another, be inoculated once again.
Well, the president of Moderna was in South Africa. I think it was pushing the vaccine for Moderna, and he was on CNN News. I think they did an interview with him, and he was really excited about the vaccine and the strides they've made. And I think at that time they found out that Moderna's vaccine actually assists in other situations, and I think it had to do with one, either deep vein thrombosis helps with people with that situation. It like there's side effects of the vaccine that actually attack other issues in other people. Like I think a lot of it having to do with vein and nerve damages, things that people suffer through that they have to be medicated. It helps them kill the symptoms down inadvertently. So they found more benefits for this vaccine. And he was all like really happy. And all I kept thinking was, I imagine you are happy as the president of one of the most popular vaccines in the world right now. You are making over foot. You are making generational wealth for about 15 generations of families.
Yeah, I heard this one guy on when I was on WBS have this thing called open line.
Mm-hmm.
And the strange thing about it, because one of the guys on open line, one of the panel members, actually said, well, with the vaccine and everything, these companies don't get paid, for, coming up with the vaccines. I'm like, yes, they do, big time. Whether the government is paying, but somebody's going to have to fit the bill because they're not going to be doing it for free, obviously.
Very true.
Come on, let's not be naive. This is what this guy's actually saying.
You know what? And nobody's having that discussion right now. Nobody seems to be having that discussion. How much money are these companies making?
Phenomenal.
And who's paying?
Dolly Parton knows so. Dolly Parton got in on it. She had invested a few millions, whatever the case may be, on the Moderna end. She's an investor.
Right. Dolly Parton, speaking of her, she seemed to be really intelligent about it, and she's extremely charitable. Like she goes out and gives millions of dollars all over the place to different charities all over the place. So she's a blessing, man. So for her to do stuff the way it is, I know I know it's going to be a good thing, But all I kept thinking was with the Janssen and Janssen report, I'm like, oh shit, what else are we going to hear? What else is coming new? Because it always seems to follow. Something always seems to follow, and it's sad that we got to be in a situation, like I said earlier, that we got to be on our P's and Q's because of the way the history of vaccines in America is, that no one feels like they can trust it. Well, very few people are fully all in trusting and so on and so forth. There's always some reservation. There's always some inquiry to it that's necessary, hesitation, and at the very end, the procrastination to the point. Now, I could be just talking about me, but that's the truth.
There was an old adage back in the day, and I remember this, where it says, "United we stand, divided we fall." Mm-hmm. I know you've probably heard that saying before, and I think that's America right now. That's America right now, because we're very, very divided. There's no that always have been, and like I said, with this reset, with the COVID, everybody's on edge. Everybody's on edge. Look at what's going on in Minnesota. You look at it. The George Floyd trial. Then you're looking at, at this other young man being shot. Then you're looking. It's like the whole freaking world is in turmoil right about now. Mm-hmm. That's what's happening. The planet is burning from every different angle.
Wait till it comes.
Right. Wait till what?
The verdict.
Oh.
When they come back.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people are sending pins and needles. Pins and needles. It reminds me many years ago with the Rodney King situation. Like this one guy says, the difference. Yeah, you remember? Rodney King, when everything was on pins and needles. Mm-hmm. So even the judge, in the George Floyd trial, tell the jurors, do not watch any news whatsoever, because what's going on outside is another situation that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Shit, the judge himself in that same case mentioned something the other day that it sort of like gave me that dun 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 feeling. When he mentioned about what could possibly happen to cause a mistrial, I said, oh, shit. If he's talking about this, there's a high potential that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, he
What
said,
happened is the defendant the defense attorney tried to have the whole case, as a mistrial based on what was going on. And then the judge says, no, I'm not going to go that route because he knows that this is heavy. This is a
Right.
very heavy case.
Right.
But the defense attorney tried to get it kicked out.
Mm.
It's not going to happen. They're going to go into deliberation and everything on Monday.
Well, let's see. When it comes to the court cases and everything, I'm never too confident to believe that something couldn't happen. Because, as I said before, when it comes to Chauvin right now, I think it's white supremacy versus America. Because the way Chauvin is, he's demonstrating bigotry, demonstrating hatred, the neglect, and the neglect of power, being able to use it, and the abuse of power, deadly force, all that stuff that's been involved, and it's basically on the premise of race, because that's my understanding of their interaction prior to that day has always been one of contention. They apparently used to work together as a
know each other
security
casually. Yeah,
club.
yeah.
I'm like,
But
that's
about it,
premeditated.
huh?
Mhm. In this situation, you can't tell me that the question of it being premeditated isn't there. If they knew each other, didn't have a good relationship prior to, apparently last time they interacted, they blast off and Floyd just, gave him his ass to kiss or whatever the situation was. So that sounds to me like premeditated murder.
Yeah. But look at that Dante White situation with that female cop who couldn't tell the difference between a Glock and a taser.
Uh-huh.
That's another crazy situation there too.
Mm-hmm.
She taser. She pulls out a gun and fires a shot.
and she was training
26
the
years.
rookies that were with her.
And she was she was the trainer.
How are you gonna do this?
She went through. I mean, if you look at the case, she did the exact procedure as it's supposed to. But the biggest mistake she made is she didn't do it with the weapon that she's supposed to do it with.
That's it.
She pulled it out, said taser, 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 and in her hand was a gun and not a taser. And she realized it immediately. I shot him. I didn't use my tongue. She
But
said
26 years on the job as a cop, training other cops.
You
You can't tell the difference between black and yellow because the gun is black and the freaking taser is yellow.
They're
Bright
supposed to be different color, right?
Bright yellow.
And as they said, the dominant sides,
Yeah.
your
weight.
weapon is on one side, the dominant side, and the taser's on the other. I
Right.
mean, I truly think that she made a mistake, but still, I mean,
The
Yeah,
fact
but-
that she owned up to it is going to give her some merit. But it's only going to make it alleviate. Like instead of being like a manslaughter one, it'll be like
What is what they got her on now? Yeah,
which-
voluntary manslaughter.
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, she still has to be
Yeah.
accountable.
Yeah.
She's got to be held accountable.
It's no different from that other lady with that the guy that was inside his apartment and she came home from work and she thought it was her apartment and was being broken in and she
Yeah.
freaking shot the guy right in his living room. That
Yeah.
case just disappeared also because we haven't heard much about that.
She was
Brianna.
sitting at home eating. No, not Brianna. The other guy
No,
was
no,
eating ice cream. And
yeah,
she
the guy
went
was inside his
called the
apartment.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
the police officer. Whatever.
Mhm. And then this is the funny thing because you'll always find some officer ready to talk about their experiences and they give their. One officer actually came in his mouth. You can work 26 years and never be in the field. How the fuck can you be a police
Really?
officer
Come on,
that long and never been in the field?
never been in the field, but yet you're training.
What the hell
somebody.
kind of bullshit is that? And
He
it's
was
that
training for desk duty.
something's wrong.
Yeah.
He was training for desk duty.
Something's horribly wrong in the whole system. But again, there's certain factors. She was in training mode. Oh well, you sort of fucked up with that one.
26 years, player.
26 years as a
That's a lot.
long ass time.
Yeah.
And that's not the first time she's pulled out some sort of weapon. So 26 years, yeah, she got to own up for it.
But it reminds me of what I was saying. If you pull out a weapon, plan on using it. So there it is. She pulled out that weapon, so she had every intention in using it, even though she made an error. But it was, the taser's on the opposite side. She should know that after You know, it's not like 5 or 10 years as being a rookie or whatever the case may be. You're looking at 26 years.
And for her to yell taser, 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 the weapon was already in her hand and already in front of her. And then her saying what it was, she just didn't make that connection, or was it deliberate? And she thought her yelling taser, taser, taser was going to save her from it.
Correct. That like yelling taser, taser, taser will actually justify her actions. You know, that's something to think about.
Right.
What was her intentions?
Mm-hmm. Well, we're gonna see, but it just goes to show you that with this whole situation, you never know the outcome. Never know what the outcome is, because 26 years to me, I thought would make her more of an expert than anybody. You know, unless you've been there more. You're at expert level, you don't make the same mistakes as somebody who's a novice, so you won't get saved by First Amendment rules. You can't. It don't work like that. You have to pick it. Either you're gonna be a First Amendment kind of cop, which basically just means police police aid. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be a police aid as a cop, or you're gonna be a gopher. You know, you got to make that decision. 26 years, you got to know what type of cop you're gonna be.
A lot of time, yeah. You know, 26 years. You know, you're in a profession that you're a professional. There's no doubt about it.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, this is not even 10 days on the job or 26 days on the job. You're looking at 26 years on the job. Big difference.
Hell yeah, and that's 26 years of a very good paycheck, and
You know?
additional things available, right?
Then
So-
it's going to bring back the scrutiny, all of the charges and all. They're going to go back through her records like crazy.
Yeah,
That's it. That's what the prosecution is going to do. They're going to pull a record and they're going to go over it.
the biggest problem I see happening is the same thing. It's the feedback of the police chief by resigning and her resigning. To me, that was like a cop out. You immediately get in a situation like this, so you're going to resign to try to protect your pension. And I'm like, you know what? With a lawsuit like this and that type of negligence, go after a pension. Don't protect it. Go after a pension, because after 26 years, that should be a whole lot of money sitting there in her pension, waiting for her to cash out. And she's only like a week or two before she does it on her own anyway. Get that money. I bet you if you get it, you save her whole world.
They're definitely going to get it, because there's a. You remember Johnny Cochran many years ago? You know, with the OJ trial. Well, you have a new modern day Johnny Cochran. His name is Benjamin Crump. I don't know if you've ever heard of that guy. And all of these cases, Breonna Taylor, that man is everywhere.
Everyone, we keep saying the same thing. My man's baldy is always shiny. He's always got them pinstripe suits, and he's ready to tell you his opinion based on what the family talks to him. I'm like, I don't know how much of a win-loss ratio he got, but he's always there.
Yeah, he's always there. He's pronto.
Yeah, as long as he does.
He's going at your door. I'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
He's on a lot of these cases like crazy. The Derek Chauvin case, he's there. All of these guys.
Trayvon Martin. Yep, I remember.
Trayvon Martin, exactly. With this one, you know, with Dante Wright, you know, a lot of these cases this man is on. Yeah.
Mike Green.
Remember
the young boy that got shot jogging in the neighborhood?
Yeah, he was on that case also. Ben Crump he's the modern day Johnny Cochran.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Or his remember, because it wasn't just Johnny Cochran that got OJ off, it was the Kardashian, his partner. He was a brilliant lawyer too before he passed. That's the Kardashians' father, their father. Yep.
Who's this one? What's his name?
He was Kardashian. He was the father of Kim and them. Is the lawyer who's the partner of Johnny Cochran in that firm, was his partner.
Okay.
He's the one that helped to defend OJ and did a lot of major jabs and got him what he won.
Wow.
Yeah, he was another amazingly well crafted, managed individual as a lawyer. Really intelligent. Knew what the hell he was doing.
Study under her father's name.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Matter of fact, she is. That's right. I forgot that Kim Kardashian going back to school and going to try to be a lawyer. I said, yeah, because she's got the name. She's got the name. Let's see if she has if her father's ability.
Yeah, I'll tell you what she has to do with Kanye first, because he wants full custody of the kids, so she's going to deal with him.
Gotta deal with him first.
That ought to be something.
Yeah,
That ought to
you know.
Brother Sandy's on the road. What up, Sandy?
Good afternoon.
Sandman.
How you feeling,
The
man?
Sandman.
All right.
Yeah, you home?
Yeah, I'm home.
Okay, I do see.
The background look a little different, my brother.
Yeah. Where's my bridge?
That's what we saw. I said, okay. How you feeling, man?
I'm all
It's
right.
good, man.
Yeah.
I'm a little disgruntled,
Uh-oh.
but I'm all right. My job just got sold to another company.
They finally did that?
Yeah, and I've never seen a place transfer whatever without telling anybody anything. And I think my administrators are holding back on information that they don't want us to know, just to keep us in place. And I hate to be played like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I'm a man with a million jobs, so that's.
Let me ask you a question.
That's
I got a question.
Huh?
Because
Got me a job, huh?
are they laying a lot of you
Jobs
guys
is
off?
easy now for nurses, yo.
True that. Nursing, definitely.
All you got to do is be able to say, okay, I work with COVID and walk out the building. You can walk into another one just as you walked out the first one.
Absolutely. Especially now. Woo! Yeah, so they're lost.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What we seeing, Adrian?
No, I was going to ask Sandy, are they doing a lot of layoffs because they actually did bought out the company or whatever the case may be?
Not necessarily layoffs. They're trying to get rid of the union. Our company, my building has a union in it.
Big corporation.
Trying to break the union. I'm usually a union defender. So I don't agree with breaking the union. But the union hasn't been really acting right on this either, even though it's 1199, which is one of the most powerful medical unions in the country.
Right.
But they haven't actually been the best at this point.
Thing.
Yeah. I mean, because this company has bought out several nursing homes. They even bought out the one that's down there. It was a Genesis property down there that my mom was actually in, and over by Summers Point. No, that's the hospital was by Summers Point. And so it was linked. It was like, I forgot where it was, but it's on the way to Summers Point.
I think I know what you're talking about. They do training there.
Lincroft. I think it was Lincroft. I think was the name of it. If I'm not, I forgot the name of it.
It's not Linwood Manor?
Linwood, that's what it was. Linwood Manor.
Okay.
They sold that to the same company. Which Linwood, I believe, was 1199, local 1199 also. So I don't understand why the union wasn't aware of this company's practices and how they acted. But every place is different. But I just don't appreciate the way they came in. That's all. And I don't appreciate the way Genesis went out, because they didn't tell us anything either.
They tucked their tail and left, huh?
Yeah, I mean, but see, people got things that you got your 401k. I would have liked to have planned for that before Wells Fargo calls me and says, hey, there's no movement on this. What are you going to do? Am I going to roll it over? I mean, I'd like to know. I would have liked to have planned my stuff out. Mm-hmm. I had people who worked with me who were planning to have surgeries and whatever. They didn't tell them this, so now your insurance has changed. Oh my so God. You don't even know if you got your same doctors anymore. It's just that kind of disrespect that people are putting you through. That's I mean, it may be legal, it may be business, it may be whatever, but I mean, I think in business, I think people have to care about who works for them. Because if you want me to care for patients, you need to care about me. I need to go into work whole every day so I can take care of your patients whole.
Absolutely. Internal patients, right?
Right.
Yeah. That was one of the biggest practices, working in the field of employment and working in HR. One of the things that we always talked about was making sure that your internal customers are taken care of, which is your staff. Right. You don't take care of them, you expect them to take care of others. Right. And in your situation, Lord, for them not taking care of y'all, it's like cutting their foot off, cutting their nose and spite their face, man. You can't,
you can't have me aggravated going in there taking care of Mrs. Jones and think my attitude's not going to come out some way against her.
Hell no. Then the impacts of the transition. Yeah. Then the impacts it has on the patients, the transition, You know, they're probably uncomfortable with life as it is, and for them to have the transmission under these conditions is unfair, man. Yeah, it's a bitch.
Yeah.
So,
But there's more pressing things in life going on. Now you got this dude on trial for killing this kid, killing George Floyd. Then you got 2 killings while his trial is going on that seem to be more egregious than that. How do you shoot a 13-year-old kid?
how? That's the question.
They're alleging that he had a weapon, but when it came out, they said that he didn't.
Let's say this, because I read the thing that he had a weapon and supposedly
Yeah.
took it down and passed it under the fence or whatever.
You saw the video?
Yeah, I saw the video. So that's supposedly what happened, right? Now, as a kid, we all played guns and robbers, right? Cops and robbers, right?
Uh-huh.
And what was the most distasteful thing you could do? And shoot somebody in the back, right?
Back. Yep.
So if somebody's running from you, you're not supposed to shoot them, right? These people are shooting people in the backs, whatever. So if this kid had a gun, ditched the gun, so now he no longer has a gun. He obviously wasn't trying to stand up and go gun to gun with you.
And his hands.
So why are we shooting this kid?
Right.
Correct. Especially when his hands was in the air.
Right.
Clear.
Right.
That's
so he don't have
going
no
to
gun now.
That's going to be the problem. That's going to be a sticker right there.
Even
because
if he
right
had
there,
a gun, that's the
no
problem
threat.
now.
He poses no threat at that moment when he had his hands in the air.
Right.
He poses zero threat at that point.
Turned around, his hands were up. So
even if the situation was that he did have a gun, he didn't have a gun at the time.
Right, that's right. Right.
He didn't have the gun and turn. And this is what I was saying earlier on when I first started. I was going off basically on my soapbox, talking about how gun reform, police have to transition that whole thought that you got to get the first shot off because you're scared.
Right.
And that's the thing, because they fearful. They think immediately they have the right to shoot first. No, why should you do that? If you're trained and you got protection, not to say that you should be subjected to being killed first, but your time should be a lot more distant than it is now. You shouldn't be so quick to shoot. Should be a couple more seconds or nanoseconds involved for you to decide, man. You can't just jump into it.
Well,
They
this is the problem.
serve and protect, but that's it seems like they've been very contradictory to the serve and protect part. Because if they actually say that they're serving protecting, but they're killing more than they're protecting, it's counterproductive.
Well, what I notice is that if you go back to high school, because this is where a lot of this starts,
mm-hmm.
You see the dudes that are becoming cops are the dudes that are sending.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
The people who are fearless, my people that were fearless were criminals. But the people that were fearless, they don't become cops.
Right.
The fearful people become cops, and I guess they do it because they figure they got a gun, so I don't have to be a punk no more.
A gun and a badge.
But the sad part is you're still scared. It's worse to be scared with a gun than scared without a gun.
Absolutely.
Because that's why most people are dying. Other than the plan to just kill black people, because I'm not going to go on that route. I'm gonna just say that these people are scared and they shouldn't be cops. And a lot of it is because you're policing in areas you don't live.
Right.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you need to live in the ghetto to police the ghetto, but you needed to have experienced the ghetto,
right?
Or had been in the ghetto, or to have lived near the ghetto. I think you should live in your community at least 2 years, so you know who's in your community. I'm
a firm believer if you live in the ghetto long enough, that no longer will be a ghetto.
Okay.
Because you're gonna want to do better,
right.
And you will feel better. Example, and your neighbors will react and respond equal to you, or you do the same. And you'll uplift the community.
I say that all the time because that's how it was when we grew up. Yeah. All the police officers, your teachers, your firefighters, they lived right there.
Right.
Right. And when you walked to school, you knew to be your best behavior because you was going to walk by somebody's house.
Right.
Teacher, firefighter. That's how it was. They lived there.
Right.
Again, my aunt was a teacher, so a lot of the cops would come and take us for rides.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if that was a privilege that I had from
Privilege.
being a teacher down there. My mother
We didn't have
being
to in all the
living
hoods.
down there, but I knew a lot of the cops.
Yeah.
We know them, and we weren't afraid.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
We know them.
We built relationships with them.
Right. Then you look up at like Randy Flippin and your Rasmussen. They
Yeah.
actually lived in Atlantic City, and
Yep.
Randy hasn't moved out till now.
Yep.
Yep.
So
But I think it should be a requirement. They should have to live there before. Now it's like,
It's all this fear concept.
right.
The previous,
oh no.
a couple of years ago, one of the previous police chiefs kept defending the rights for the officers to live somewhere else because they said if they live in a community, they can be easily hunted. I'm thinking, I would always saying they would only be hunted by people they've done wrong by or
Right.
done wrong to.
Right.
There's no reason for them to be hunted. So I'm like, look, let's get realistic. If they were part of the community, then they would be treated like community and they would be protected.
Right.
A police officer, listen, you'd have people coming out of the neighborhood. You ain't messing with cousin so and so, regardless if a cop or not. We ain't having it.
Right.
Part of the family, because that's how we were. We've always been like that. I remember.
In Teaneck, my little league baseball coach was Captain Freddie Green.
Mm-hmm.
Me and his son grew up together, so it's hard. So I say that because it's hard. Well, anyway, Freddie Green, when he would chase the criminals,
right,
he'd be like, "Oh, we don't have to chase him any farther. I know who that is. I'll meet him at his house."
Okay, right.
We don't have to chase him. I know who that is, and that's how that worked. See, I don't understand if cops they don't live there. They don't know these people. They don't know that I'll catch Mo at the Red Parrot later because that's where he's going to be on Friday night.
Right.
You know, that's the sad part. I mean, back in the day, they shot Philip Pinnell in his back, and I'm like, these are Teaneck cops. The kid lived in Teaneck. Why are we shooting him? Because y'all know where he lived. They knew who he was.
Right.
So I mean, it doesn't make sense, and a lot of this doesn't make sense. And I think cops should be in the neighborhood because then they ain't going to run up on your son and shoot him because they know that's Mo's son. Exactly.
You know him. You're part of it. Then it's the investment made. You can't just do that, and that's a lot of times. I think that's part of the whole game. When you put distance between people, it's easier for you to treat them like their product or like they are criminals and so forth. You can't. You have a neighbor and you know how they interact, or you can't say they're a criminal when you know how they interact and you know how they are. Have been in Congress with them, whatever the situation was. You know that, so you can't just say it. You'd be lying, fabricating a story. It wouldn't be just. It wouldn't feel right.
Right.
Because your neighbor's protecting your family too. So how the hell can you lie about them?
Right.
But
let me ask you a question, because does the city council actually make the rules in reference to the hiring of the cops and stuff, or is it the department? You guys leave it up to the department to actually make that particular ruling?
We work along with the state. The state has a mandate. The state does the preliminary parameters as far as hiring is concerned, and then we tailor that to the city. We may add an additional restriction or add an additional circumstance requirement, but usually it's from the state down. And then we have again, this is the same situation. We did have a residential obligation at one time.
I remember.
Even that was stated, and because of the police chief saying that they don't have to. At one time, it used to be they had to live 5 years here before they become a police officer. Now it's like less than a year, and they're using PO boxes when people are coming in from out of town to do so because it's one of the highest paid positions in the state type deal. So there's a will, there's a way when it comes to that. When it comes to dollars, they find it.
Using relative
Mo, does the council actually vote on particular people, or does the hiring within the police department itself, and y'all just ratify the contract?
Right. After the fact, it's just accepting. It's not even a contract. Once you get hired, you get hired. Once you get hired, and then once you get hired, as far as selection-wise concerned, and I think it has to do with the appointing authority, which is here, and then the police chief, and he may have one or two others that are involved in the selection process. And usually there's a thing they call the the process of three. I can't exactly, but three. Top three individuals that you choose from. You can choose any of those three, and usually that's accepted. But it could be a big ass difference between the lower third and the top third, and they'll pick the lower third to be a provisional hookup type deal.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how it usually goes. The city council is not privy to who, and we usually don't find out until after the fact, after somebody's been on for a couple of years, looking for possibly even looking for retirement. That's how long it takes for us to find out. Yeah, it takes us.
I might be wrong, but I thought TNAC actually, after the police department does all their accepting everything, they come in front of the council to be ratified or job accepted or something to that effect.
They don't do that here.
They don't do that here. They have they get hired and they get promoted.
You see the promotion.
Do y'all when they get promoted, right? Do y'all partake in their promotions and
sometimes? Sometimes we're invited
to
go see it after the fact.
Really? Okay. Wow.
Yeah, I know. Of the city, you know, I saw on Facebook today that they were congratulating this young man. They have their first black cop on their force in Gloucester City. They had their first black Gloucester City.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they're like, you know, congratulations to this young man. He's the first black cop on this. I'm like, wow, we're in 2021, and they're talking about the first black cop. I'm like, yo, what's going on?
I ain't trying to be Debbie Downer, but that might be just alerting people to give this dude a hard time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this dude. Catch him in your neighborhood.
He's coming to a neighborhood near you.
Exactly right.
There's a giant soul bro coming to a neighborhood near you, you know, the only black cop.
And then you got that army captain or whoever he is messing with that young boy.
Oh, I saw that. Yep.
That's
Stickler, something like that. He was real arrogant about his situation too. But then after the fact, you know, they divulged that the young man was autistic. I'm like, damn, they throwing extra hot sauce on this shit. This is gonna be cooking. But his hands on it, mouthing off. Then he's saying that, you know, this is not your neighborhood. Get out of your mind.
The dude only lived there 10 months. The black dude was there for like
years.
Years.
Yep. You said he lived at least over 6 years. I said, so that's actually making it more his.
And the kid was on the sidewalk. He was on the sidewalk.
Right,
He was on his property.
He's at the sidewalk.
But you know what? Again, that shows you something. Because the neighbors should have went out there and said something. Because if they seen him and know him, they should have said something to his ass. So he didn't come out and mouth off the way he was.
Yeah, one of the ladies came out and she said, well, let's walk him home. He didn't ask for you to walk him home. He didn't ask for you to come and get him in the first place.
Funny part,
now you talk about let's walk him home. We're going to walk him home. Hell no.
That reminds me of one of these things. I saw a video of this dude. I think he was in Georgia. And he was into real estate. And the cop pulled him over because he was looking for directions or something. And he said, look, I bought a house up here, whatever. And the cop didn't believe him. So the cop follows him. And I think he was into flipping properties. The cop follows him and brought him into this huge house. And obviously, it was the way the cop looked at the dude. Obvious the house was better than the cop had. He tried to sell him the house. I'll try to find that and send it to you, Mo, because that tickled me.
That shit happens. Yep.
Yep, it tickled me to death because the guy, he's like, "Oh, you want to take a tour?" Because he for sure didn't think he had the key to the house.
I seen something similar to that, where there was two white guys. One white guy was talking to the other guy about selling the house, and then some black dude walks up, and he didn't introduce himself. All of a sudden, the person who was selling it got irate with the black dude, not knowing that who he was talking to was the actual owner of the property.
Wow.
In all the property there in that area, in the vicinity. He was mouthing off, you don't need to be here. You shouldn't be in here. Cleaning crew. He made all kinds of aspersions all of a sudden. I mean, all kinds of crazy shit. And they were recording this shit, and all of a sudden he turns around and says, really? Makes a phone call. He says, here, I need to call the owner. He says, okay. And immediately the black dude, his phone goes off. He says, hello? And he noticed, he's like, He's talking to the owner like, "Are you the owner?" "Yes, thank you," and you're fired. Immediately, I was like,
You know,
"Damn!"
Mo, have you ever seen this movie? It's called Amos and Andy. Have you ever heard
I
of that?
watched Amos.
I've
Yeah,
heard
Amos and Andy way
Are you
back,
talking
way
about
back in
the
the day.
actual
When
Amos and Andy's, or they did a movie?
about
'Cause I
them
used to
or
wa-
with them.
I bought the actual episodes.
Okay,
Is that what you're talking about?
yeah.
yeah, Amos and Andy, because I have the movie. Whereas this white guy, the people were robbing people in their neighborhood, in this rich neighborhood,
Right.
and what happened? They thought it was the black guy, but the black guy is the one who owned the house, and the white guy was the robber. So
Right.
exactly, it was like a role reversal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was
Amos and Andy actually, regardless of what it was, but if you look at it, if you actually look at it and take away the racism, it had a lot. It was really smart. If you actually saw the episodes, it was really smart. For regardless of all that Southern drawl and the people really not,
well.
you know,
I would probably put it in the same category as Flip Wilson.
right.
Flip Wilson show. Really clever.
Right.
It was really clever on how they were like undercutting racism. They were hitting them. They were
Right.
like jabbing them. Be like, "All right, you calling me nigga? Ha ha ha! Nigga just bought the house.
Right. Absolutely.
I just bought the block. Call me that, rich nigga."
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, very very clever with that stuff. The more and more I started watching a lot of the stuff, the more I started recognizing how a lot of the places that we thought were like sellouts or people, they were very intelligent about how they were doing it. They were really breaking
and you
barriers.
have to look at people how they operate within the time frame that they operate in.
Mm-hmm.
Amos and Andy was a time where they were actually hanging people.
Yep.
So you can't come out and be as bold and brash as you wish you could be, but you can still get your message across.
Yep.
You know.
Remember the story with Bojangles? Bojangles being an amazing artist, and he could only act the way he was, but he was actually opening the doors for many, many people after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? The Our Gang. Remember the Little Rascals in Our Gang?
Mm-hmm.
You have Farina and you have
Bucky,
all of them playing the subservient roles, whatever the situation was. But they were able to open up a lot more roles for black kids and black people later on because they did such significant roles. So that was amazing, you know. And even though Bill Cosby bought all the rights to him earlier on, he wanted to eliminate the whole vision of racism and white supremacy.
Right.
It was like actually in reverse if you actually looked at it. If you had more people with the dialogue to tell you about the framework of that time frame and all stuff, you actually probably appreciated it more.
Hey, I just had a conversation today about what's his name, Ben Crump.
Yeah, Ben Crump,
the lawyer. Yeah.
And people were talking about how they thought he was a buffoon. I was like, you have to separate the word from what you're talking about.
Word.
If you're talking about his southern characteristic of speech and whatever,
right.
He might not be the most articulate person based on European dialect and whatever.
There's no code.
He's smart enough to give people $27 million settlements.
Hell yeah.
So
there's no code switching with him.
Right.
One. He'll be able to buy and sell your family.
Right.
Yeah. There's no code. I can appreciate that.
I was like, but Ben Crump walks on other people like that. Now you got C. Vernon Mason and Alton Maddox, who were two legal geniuses, got caught up in some stuff, but legal geniuses, but they didn't have the best dialect either.
Mm-hmm.
But that has nothing to do with what's in somebody's brain, So just because somebody talks real slick, don't necessarily make them the slickest out there,
Hey Mo, I was going to say something a little while ago. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Bruce's family in California, because this is something that actually hit the news recently about this one particular family in California. I believe it was in Santa Monica. And what happened, they own a substantial amount of land in Santa Monica, California. And it looks like beachfront property, about 100 acres, which is actually worth about 75. I think it was like 75 million plus. It was like a very affluent part. What happened was the county actually stripped away this black man's rights and his land, and they just took it from the family and sold it off to other people and built on it over many, many years. So just recently, the Bruce family is able to acquire that land back, and it's valued over, I think, like $750 million. A very affluent part in California. They had to give it back to this family.
You know what? If you're starting to see, there's a lot more of the restitution cases taking place all over.
Yeah.
Because that's not
Is
the
that
first
maybe-
time. Yeah, he's having technical issues. But I think the biggest sign of restitution I saw was when the Native Americans, Native Americans won their case, and they're getting like half of like Utah back. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, you know, they own so much of it. The rights that they were supposed to be given, they won their rights to do so, and it's like multiple states. They have such a large portion in multiple states, and restitution seems to be big. Which
Exactly. It's growing in popularity. It's growing in popularity.
So, with that being said, it's building momentum
Yes,
for
it is.
for 40 acres and a mule.
Right.
Yeah,
Building
it's building up.
I mean, is it realistic to believe it's going to happen? It could. How the
Yeah,
framework? We don't know.
Well, it depends, because once again, the Bruce's family, which is a very large family, even the county actually said that, if they would not have stripped away these people's rights, because their great grandfather purchased all of this land, and the county, the government just took it away from them. So
Mhm.
now the county had to give all of this land back to the family. Its value is very heavy. It's very heavy.
This wasn't the land that they. Oh, you said in California, right?
It's in California.
Okay, because there was another thing where this white family interloped into this Indian clan and started stealing their land because they found oil on the land, and they started killing off the people. I forgot that. I watched a show about that. I forgot the name of the show. I think it was on Netflix. That these people started killing off these Indians because they were inherited this land. It was crazy, and the land was supposed to be oil rich. I'll try to find that.
Yeah. But like I said, that seems to be building, like I said, momentum, restitution here and there in the colleges and the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Well,
So I guess eventually, that's going to become something that's going to be front and center.
Restitution, but you know what? I think this is a lot of it have to do with timing, because you know how the Asian Americans are starting to suffer oppression and bigotry going on. So it's gonna introduce the conversation about Asian Japanese reparations. When the war came about and they had they were rustled up together and corralled together, and then
they were facing
the
but
confinement.
they were paid already, Mo. They were paid back in the night.
Paid well too.
20 grand. Each one received 20 grand, 20,000. I remember that very quickly.
Yeah. A family of four can open up a restaurant full time easily.
Right.
Family of four. That's what happens. They created generational wealth. If we were able to get restitution for what was said and what was done from us, even if it's not just the continental aspect of slavery, but the worldwide aspect of slavery, a lot of the stuff that we're facing now, hardships, wouldn't exist. And I think that's another reason why they're running away from it, because as long as we have these hardships, you have police. You need to have police. As long as you have your hardships, then you need lawyers to try to defend you. And then if you have all the cases, you're going to need a judge. Then you're going to need jails. You're going to need buildings built just to deal with illegal activities, jails, and so on and so forth. So these are industries, and these industries pay so much into their economy that they're not going to try to give up all this stuff to make it right. So we got to be aggressive with it. We got to be really aggressive for us to be able to get equal to, if not more. Because 40 acres and a mule nowadays depends, because you got 40 acres Alabama prices or
Give
40
me
acres.
40 acres and I'll buy my own damn mule.
Exactly. Yep.
There's 40 acres in Alexis.
Yep. Let me choose 40 acres. Hell yeah. But imagine the value of 40 acres now. But again, they'd be choosing someplace in Montana 40 acres versus 40 acres California waterside. or Ewing Township 40 acres.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it depends. But if we were able to get it, we wouldn't see some of the hardships we are, which in turn would stop their economy, a lot of their economy.
Well, right.
They depend on that shit.
Well, the economy, the way America's based is there's got to be a low man on the totem pole because we feed off that person.
It's capitalism.
So far, the black man has been the low man on the totem pole. Now the low man, they trying to make the Mexican the low man.
Right.
You know, but black
capitalism,
man's been the low man on the totem pole. You get the free or cheap labor and so forth, and we'll put dollars on them, and that's how that shit works.
Yep. That's in essence the framework of capitalism. You need a foundation of poor people that will actually work to make you rich.
Right.
I remember having a conversation with my man one time ago, Joe, because he kept talking about how we need capitalism. We can't need capitalism. I said, no, we need more socialism than we need capitalism.
Right.
He was like, no, capitalism. I said, listen, if you work with it from a socialistic aspect, you'll get the benefits of capitalism without ostracizing anyone. Everyone benefits. So you'll still make millionaires, but you'll be more of them. And then it will be far lesser people that will be poor. He was like, I sort of see what you're saying, but I'm with capitalism. Okay.
Hey, listen, that's a person that's been listening to somebody else and not doing his own research.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got these capitalists like Diddy and everybody out there, and they're not using money as something to move people ahead anymore. It's just a scorekeeping thing now.
Right.
And that's the sad thing about when you become that rich. It just becomes a scorekeeping. Yeah. Because that's what if you were Jeff Bezos or something, you could get some of these cities out of ruin and bring the country up to where it needs to be instead of letting the money sit and do whatever it's doing wherever it's doing for him. It's not. You understand what I'm saying?
Bezos can bail out a couple of states.
Right.
Mississippi could be the wealthiest state of the nation.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You know, but what are we doing? Nothing. Just letting the poor people stay poor, and that's it.
That's it.
You know.
I don't know, guys. But it is now 10:08 p.m. I think we've been on for a while. And Sandy, it's definitely good seeing you, brother.
All right.
Do me a favor. Pass a message.
Dr. Hodges wants you to make contact with her, please.
Yes, please. Let me know her phone number so I can send it to you one way or the other. Because John was trying to reach out to her.
Actually, Mo, put your number in Messenger for me because I don't think I got your direct number.
All right, I'm going to put it in the private chat so you can see it.
Okay.
All right. Now you can't say you ain't got it.
I'll text you back on that.
Okay. You see it on the chat?
Yeah. Let's see. I see it. Okay.
Just in case, it's public as it is. 609-464-0736. It's always been public.
I got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
I have
Hit me up. Hit me up. I need Dr. Hodges as well.
I'm sending it to her now.
Dr. Hodges.
Yep. Because trust me, we found out the other day how much tuition is for VSU. We're like, damn, I'm gonna have to start selling a whole lot of ice cups.
She had a conversation with me about that.
You
need to talk to her.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what she's going to tell you. She will probably say, "Keep that boy in state." Because you
get that what?
Keep him local.
Keep him in state.
Yeah.
Because you're going to lose a lot of money, grant money or whatever, sending them out of state.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
mean, we're still trying.
But she'll help you because she's actually working with scholarships and whatever. So give her a call, please. I mean, I'll have her call you, but I'll send you her number from.
Yep, hit me up, man. Please help me. Don't have me have to hunt her down. I will go to NYU, knock on every like, where you at? Come on, Moretta, let me know.
Wait, watch this. I'm gonna have to big her up real quick. She wouldn't be at NYU, Mo. She'd be at Columbia.
Correction. Yes, correction. Yes, Columbia. When I get on the door, there'll be a state police waiting for me right there. Hell yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'll give you a number. I'll text you her number in a minute.
Okay.
Since
Really appreciate it,
since
brother.
this new technology don't let you remember stuff, I don't remember her number. If I ever got pulled over something with the cops, I don't even know who I could call at this point.
Hell yeah.
If they
I
took my cell phone, but I can't.
I think I'm in the same way, brother. Trust me. I need my phone these days. Sad to say, I can't remember my name sometimes. But Sandy, say a few words for the people watching.
All right, yo, just don't let anybody take advantage of you. Stand up for your own rights, because a lot of times nobody else will, and it's okay to be the only one that stands up. And
That's
of course, you know, play it safe, keep your masks on, be careful of this vaccine. Now the stuff that I was saying is coming into fruition.
Stand
We
up
got
for
J&J. They pull that one. You never know who's next.
Yeah. Yeah.
So far. And,
we've been talking about it. We're waiting.
I don't mean to create another conversation, but you know that they're saying that DMX didn't die from drugs. He died from the vaccine.
Oh, I know. The same discussion. I had the same discussion with the other day. Like days before he died, he had the vaccine, and he had like outcomes. I know they ain't talking about it, but I heard the same discussion. I'm waiting for a biopsy, something to come on, some sort of something.
Right.
Got to come out. It's a shame. Brother passed away, and he was doing so well, man. He was doing so much better.
He was doing good.
Yeah.
And the last time I saw him on Drink Champs, he had like, bro, dude got big.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he beefed up.
He didn't look like he was messing with that narcotics too much anymore, you know.
Nah, he put some weight on. Yeah. And clarity, you know. He came down here and spoke to a couple people here. He was down here for a while, about 2 weeks, and he was talking to different people here and talking about his experience. So he was, you know, how you need a point to exhale. You talk about your experience to be able to survive the experience.
Right.
He was doing that, man, consistently. So he's definitely gonna be missed, man. I love the brother that he became.
Man.
Right.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
I was watching the Steven Seagal movie within a minute. Remember that one? When he was, yeah. I was watching that last night.
Yeah.
And obviously he was like I said, I was watching him on Drink Champs. He obviously was doing very well because he actually had Bono on his new album.
Yeah.
And I don't think Bono would mess with some dude as erratic as he was before.
But yeah, Bono and Pop Smoke, the latest hot. Legendary with Bono and Pop Smoke now. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's something, because Bono's one to tell anyone who's watched Bono's thing, he's very adamant of making sure that his brand doesn't get smirched. So if he thinks you're quality, he'll jump on with you as quality, even as an old age. So DMX was right. I mean, there's no question. The Dark Man X left an image. My man, he proved it with the verses.
Right.
He reminded people how valuable he was, man.
Right.
Snoop was blown away. He was like, damn, I forgot about how much great music the brother made. And then the more and more you hear about the story, how tragic it was.
You got to understand this, though. DMX took a business out of the cellar and brought him up. Because if it wasn't for DMX, Def Jam wouldn't have been what Def Jam was.
You know what? I heard who was it was
Russell Simmons.
He was talking about it, but it was somebody else talking about it in depth. Is his cousin, Russell's cousin, that's always with him. Look like, what's his name? He was on not Drink Champs. He was on one of the podcasts, and he was talking about that. And he got talking about. He says we needed him at that time for us to dig ourselves out, and he helped us get out. He put our groundwork to it. He was the voice of Def Jam. He was the new shining star of Def Jam. Made it more. So much so that Puffy and them were trying to get him to roll over on that side. He's like, no, this is where I'm going, double R style, and brought everybody with him. Locks and everybody owe him because he's the one that actually broke it down for them.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But he took them out of the cellar, took them out and made them the viable company they was.
Yep.
You know, a lot of people try to find what the DMX stands for.
A year, yo.
Huh?
He was dropping 2 platinum albums a year.
Hell yeah. He's the first one that had two platinum albums in the same year.
The man had skills. So there ain't no doubt about it. He had skills, no doubt. You know, there were actually. I was about to show you yesterday, like the word, the letter. The letters DMX. What did he ask together? What does it stand for? But in actuality, it doesn't stand for anything because back in the day when he first got started, he used to use the DMX beatbox. And that's how we actually adopted the DMX. That's where he got that from. And I'm like, wow, yeah, from the beatbox, the DMX,
Right, he was the beatbox, right.
Yeah, the beatbox.
Yeah.
So he's like, that's where he adopted that name from.
Mm-hmm.
He had history, man. He had history.
Yeah.
I just loved at the very end when he was able to get out of his darkness and he was coming out, being more of a free. How he was spreading that knowledge to so many, and when he did it, he didn't just speak regular. He was rhyming. He was rapping all the time, dropping bombs, gems on everybody, left and right, and then would pray with you in a rhyme. Sound like a record, fly as hell.
That's the funny part. DMX is probably about the only cat who would have made me listen to, like, go to church type thing.
For real.
Based on my current
for real
feelings about quote unquote Jesus Christ, not God.
Right, exactly.
Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Christian.
DMX might have still got me into church.
That's what
That's what Snoop was talking about today.
He said
he made a gospel music that would have recruited mad people.
That he was really, into church.
He was a pastor. He was playing a pastor. If he would have came out and released an album, a secular album, it would have been platinum. Just because we was all into his sound anyway. The aggressiveness, but then he had aggressive and compassion at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
What? It probably would have been what a lot of people needed, man. He spoke for a lot. He spoke a lot. He spoke this truth that was understood by many. And that's why I said he was a major loss, man. Major loss. It's sad that he had to go through the situation. But I pray that the truth comes out. Because
even a judge actually said the same thing. What you're talking about. A judge, you went to court, and the judge says, you have so much that you could give to this world. He's like, what's going on? You got to get back together, bro. A judge told that at his last sentencing. He says you're a very talented individual, and he was. No doubt. He could act and he could rap like crazy.
That conversation on Drink Champs was funny as hell.
The funniest thing I've heard him say was finally, I heard it out of his mouth, him talking about him pulling over the dude at the airport. I thought that was so funny.
Okay.
He's like, I had my truck was all pimped out like it was dark like a police car. And he pulled the dude over and he told the parking lot attendant to call the cops.
I heard about that story,
Yeah.
That was funny.
He was funny. I like in some of the conversation he was talking about the divide about how hip hop used to be versus what hip hop now. I think in the beginning that was the discussion him and Nori had, because Nori celebrates real school hip hop, right? So what they do in Drink Champs. So he was talking. He says, "I don't understand these young people now. Being gay or you gay or not, all these letters and so on and so forth. Either you a man or you're not a man. I don't know the difference. I don't know these letters. I don't understand if these letters ain't money. I don't understand that. I was like, okay, it's basic understanding, and it was what it was. It was the truth. And he would rhyme it to you. He said, I ain't that shit. That ain't me. I was like, okay.
Good DMX question.
I wasn't even trying. She said it sounded like DMX. I'm like, I'm trying. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But right before DMX, before this situation with DMX, because somebody was asking this, because he lost that guy from remember that rap, I can't remember from the guy that sings One Love. Remember that song?
What song?
The sings One Love.
Ecstasy.
Ecstasy, correct. But then right after him was Curtis Blow. Curtis Blow was, he was on the death row right there for a second.
Right.
There.
Curtis Blow had I don't know if he had a transplant or something, but he had heart issues.
Yeah, he had heart issues.
He had renal. I thought he had renal kidney failure. And it could be because of the heart transplant.
Curtis Blow. He
Yeah.
might have had renal failure also, but I know it started from heart.
Okay, it probably was. Yeah. I guess he survived it because I haven't heard much from it.
Yeah.
He survived it. He's in California, I think, still.
Good. Well, the icons, man, they're all up in age, man.
We have a lot of pioneers in that field, man.
There's such a thing as hip hop great grandfathers now. So it's like just got to be more careful, more cognizant of your health.
Well, what happened is they got old. These dudes we talking about is running in. Some of them running in these 60s.
That's what I'm saying. Great grandfathers. Yep.
But they're pioneers at any rate. They're pioneers.
Well,
You know,
absolutely. But what I'm saying
look at Queen Latifah's new movie.
when they was 20 is catching up with them.
But you know the thing about they can talk to their grandkids about that stuff now.
Right.
They were pioneers in the field.
You got the wrong grandkids. You might be doing the same stuff they doing.
I would love
something on the news because they were showing up about these kids that's actually trying to learn breakdancing during this pandemic. You know, this one guy from New York is trying to teach these kids how to breakdance. You remember that?
That's cool.
I would love to, in a room, some old school classic hip hop stars, right? In with these young, new up and coming rappers and have a straight out conversation about our generational differences. You know, because a lot sometimes, like I heard when Wu-Tang, when it was Raekwon versus shit. All his monikers, Iron Man, Tony Stark, I can't remember his name. Anyway, when they were on Versus a while ago, he was talking about these young cats, I got love for them and so on and so forth. And in general, hip hop artists do have love for young because they understand the struggles they go through. However, the divide comes a lot from the youth. Younger people don't want to give the accreditation or that homage to the older ones, and there's a divide. Because I remember YBN Cordae came out with that song about old niggas, and that caused a lot of big issues. But that was a discussion had by a lot of young artists about older people. But it's always us rolling out that carpet, and I'm like, yo, respect the gray, yo. You know, people have been in the mix for so long, they were there ahead of time. They'll give you the type of understanding you don't have right now. Respect the gray.
But here's the problem. The problem them young kids have with these older kids, well, probably the older dudes have the young kids. The young kids are dependent on the label to give them their history.
Yes.
They don't know, these new rappers haven't lived rap. This is something they can do.
Right.
And the record labels ain't saying, well, you're walking on this, and this. And so then you're dissing your forefather, because now you got Melly Mel, you know, who will actively say, now this is why I don't like this. And his real issue is the lyrics, the lyricism.
Right, there is
nobody's a lyricist anymore, and your choice of what your lyrics is about, and the record labels are pushing bad stuff. They're pushing stuff that is not necessarily positive, which is making rap kind of look bad. But your underground rappers is where it is, you know, where you can get your quality stuff. The quality stuff ain't coming out on records no more.
Right.
No, it's not.
You know.
Right. Because there's a lot of young people who are really gifted. They're really good lyricists and so on, but you never hear the music. They're not getting pushed because you hear the Migos bullshit, all the other shit, but you don't hear these young.
Panda. Come on, man. There's songs that I listen to that I don't even know what the hell they talking about.
Oh, that's most of the time with me. I don't know what it is. Me no speaky. I don't speaky that. I don't understand that. My son got to interpret. That's another language.
Right, it really is.
I'm gonna put that on my resume as another language speaking. I'm familiar with it.
Then you look at rap though. It goes through these phases, but it always comes back to where it was, to somebody actually being lyrical. So I don't. The sad part is these flash in the pans are getting real big money.
Yeah, they are.
That's the sad part.
Yeah, they are.
One-hit wonders is getting real big money.
You got this young joker with identity issues wanna gravitate towards Satan making millions of dollars off of a okay song because of his imagery, and he wants to make like a statement to the world because he has issues in his life. Come on, man. That ain't why we listen to you. We don't care who you sleeping with and how you sleeping with anybody. We want to hear good music. That's where our era was. Our era wasn't telling you how to do things. They were telling their experience. You know?
Right. And if it wasn't for Wendy Williams, you would have never heard about a gay rapper. Even though there was plenty of gay rappers before there was a gay rapper.
True that. Like she tried to expose the Philly, right? Yep.
You know what I mean? Yep. It's stuff like that. I mean, not to diss Wendy Williams because she made what she did doing what she did, but I hate people that make they deal off somebody's bad luck. You know what I'm saying? You happen to see me in a bad spot, so that becomes news for you.
Right.
But no, it's never about. I don't see Wendy saying nothing good about anybody. Anybody that Wendy gets a guest, they got to come in. They really come in to diss Wendy, just like Whitney Houston and the whole deal.
Yeah,
she made her career off of damn Whitney Houston.
That's like I'll tell you honestly, I have a problem with Charlamagne the God. I have a problem because Charlamagne the God.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I have a problem with him because he portrays himself to be Mr. Judgmental. People have to accept his judgment on everybody, and it's always a piss poor judgment based on gender. He tries to be slick about, you know, his sexual preferences on low, trying to hide them. You know what I mean? But he's always he likes to give homage to things that are popular.
Right.
That's what he likes to do. He'll look to see what's popular and do a quick study and research and then jump on the bandwagon like he's part of it. But I'll give him credit that I think he seems to be the man on helping people do the groundwork on podcasting and so on and so forth. I give it to him because it seems like he's the man. So I'm like, cool. You have people breaking them off, then cool. That's good for you. But stop acting like you're the end all be all best judgment tool, and especially about race because he plays too much into the race concept because he's just as bad. He got a big issue with colorization. Big issue. You know, he don't have a problem with white people.
You'd expect that.
Yeah.
You'd expect he's from South Carolina. You'd expect that he's darker from South Carolina.
Right.
Of course, during the South, you know, that's where that white is right, tan is, or whatever, however it ran. So because it was in my family too. They didn't like my mother because my mother was brown skinned. My father was lighter than you, Mo. Yeah. And so my grandmother was she was half Indian, I guess half black, and she was lighter than you. She married a man who was half Indian or maybe whole Indian, and he looked like a white model. And my father's brothers, they were all really light, and my dad was the only one that married a brown-skinned woman, and she got hell from same
story in my family. Same story.
And we're not, you know, my mother was an educated woman. It wasn't like she was ghetto. She was educated and whatever. And I think that's the only thing that saved her with my grandmother, because my grandmother was a school teacher. And that she, well, at least she went to college type thing. You know what I'm saying?
Right, like a consolation prize. Like what?
Yeah, that's well, at least she went to college.
Yep.
And she had a master's. At least she got a master's. That's nice. You know?
Right, exactly. Like it's that easy. Oh, just that. That's so nice. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So so that's why I believe Charlamagne does that. But I have a problem dealing with Charlamagne based because he talks like he's tough, but when they caught him out in front of the radio station that morning, that nigga was running.
Remember how he ran? He was hauling ass, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or the time Birdman said, "Put some respect in my name," he looked nervous.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah, because sometimes people will check you. Right. You got to remember, this is to some. This ain't just on the wax. This is life.
Right.
They will treat you like life, and you got to be careful what you come out and say.
Mm-hmm. So I have a problem with him with that because you ain't as tough as you trying to tell people.
What was the position of those vows and stuff?
Oh, Chenny's talking about the dolls behind Charlamagne. He used to have all these dolls doing sexual positions, and they were all men.
Yeah,
I was like, yo,
I don't know what was up with that.
See, that's the shit he was trying to let people know.
Didn't he have a print of his butt and give it to Envy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all these butt jokes and so on. I'm like, bruh, if that's what you do, that's what you do. But don't make it part of the context of the show. Don't front about it. Don't talk about it.
The problem, Mo, is that we sit up here and we're from the outside looking in. A lot of them cats is gay. You talk about what's his name? Who put some respect on my name.
Oh yeah, Birdman.
And he out here making fucking porn. He out here taking pictures with young boys with their underwear on and shit.
Oh yeah.
So it's a lot of gay shit that goes on that we ain't really privy to.
Right.
I was watching this one comedian who was talking about he was at a Puffy party, but he wasn't really supposed to be there. His friend was the DJ.
Yes.
So it was in a mansion. So he's walking around the mansion. He said he had to go to the bathroom. And he goes looking indoors and shit and goes and opens this one door and sees all these men laying up on each other.
Mm-hmm.
The way he explained it was like the Roman times, like they be feeding grapes to each other, and saw Puffy laying up to Lee Daniels, I think it was.
Yep.
And he startled everybody to look in the room. He looked. He said his eyes locked with Puffy, and he left and went back to the DJ booth or whatever.
Yep.
And the next time he said he seen Puffy was at someplace in Vegas, and
told him don't ever say something about it. Yep.
Right, and that was it. I was like, you know.
That's my man Holcomb. Ain't that's old dude, the big comedian that rips on everybody? Holcomb, ain't that him?
Yeah.
Ain't the one that's the one who said it. Yep,
Yeah.
I remember. Yep. And there was another younger cat that said something similar. About matter of fact, this shit was funny. He said he didn't even know he was on a date, a same-sex date with somebody. He didn't know he was on one.
I think I saw that.
That was hilarious. He said, "Yo, he was fly as hell with some guy. Guy was like, yo, I got 2 tickets to Lakers game."
Right. I saw that.
He said he didn't know he was on a date, a gay date, until he was straight. I was like, oh damn, that was hilarious.
Because he met the dude said he would pick him up. Yeah.
Yep. I was like, oh shit. He was like, oh shit. He's like, yeah. He was all with it. He's like, oh, that's my best friend now. And then you find out you're on a gay date, right? That's crazy. But that's the image in life these days, man. Yeah. Listen, I'm gonna close out. Sandy, I appreciate you as always.
All righty.
And Adrian, give us some words for the close.
You know my phrase, Sandy. What is it, Sandy? Always be positive and test negative.
That's negative.
That's right, man. That's what it's about, man.
That's right. That's right.
Hey, I'm sorry. I don't mean to start one more conversation, but another thing. If they're about to send your kids to school, make sure that they're doing the testing for the kids and the teachers.
Right.
Because they're trying to open up school, and they're not even putting. They didn't even think to put testing into the mix of the social distancing and everything. You can social distance and everything, but if you got people coming into these schools daily, you should be at least testing them 2-3 times a week.
Right.
So make sure that if you're sending your kids to school, that they have some type of testing thing and
mandatory testing.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. Good wisdom. Definitely a rule of thumb. Luckily, when my son goes to school, that's something that's not uncommon. So, it's a good thing. But moving forward, gentlemen, I'm going to say thank you again for chiming in. Anyone who's chiming in at this point in time, at 10:35 p.m. on Friday evening, we appreciate you for coming by. Remember, it's always positive that we want you to be and test negative, as Adrian said. But we want to also make sure that you stay as much as you can, stay within the living. I wish I can find out what the hell that clicking noise is. It's not mine. It's technical. I don't know what it is. We didn't have you before.
I didn't think it was mine either.
Adrian, I think it's your cousin.
It's Adrian's people. It's Adrian's people again.
Blame it on the rain. It's going to rain tomorrow.
Because we was good.
Look, I know Mo is 100%. I saw the picture of his studio earlier. It's got to be
exactly. See how I'm looking at my measures and everything. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to make sure right. Something I did learn is that you got to make sure your sound is always on point. So I took some time extra. So I don't know what it is. We're going to find out, but we're going to figure it out. But folks, we appreciate you coming by. This is the new norm with Mo Delgado. This is the 2.0 version, of course, because it includes the entire family. And for my brothers on the dais and everyone else, we appreciate everything that you are. Remember, you can always stop by our webpage, www.thenewnorm.club. Get information if you like it. There's always vital information that can help you in your day-to-day, as well as if you're looking for something different to learn about or different to possibly purchase, you can do so. So until the next time, we wish you the best. And remember, take care of yourself. God bless you.
All right.